What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the reunion, an FF7R podcast. And that R could be anything. It could be Remake, it could be Rebirth, and maybe Resolve.
Who knows?
What do you think? I am your host, Kai, and joining me again today is Vyzz. How are you doing, Vyzz?
I'm hyped! I'm pretty good today, actually. It's a good day. It was a very hot Sunday over here, and doing good.
Nice.
Been talking to my peeps in the CCO server and doing some analysis. Posted a CCO gem on Twitter. It was a good day. How about yours?
Yeah, it's going really well. Just really racking my brains after this incredible 25th anniversary event that we got on Thursday. Just, taking time to kind of go back and reflect and rewatch everything again. I think that I've rewatched the entire event 50 times, and then the trailers about the same amount. I've just been just obsessing over every single little detail. But it's going really great. And I'm just so excited to be able to chat with you about everything that we got at this incredible event, because we haven't really had a chance to chat with each other yet. So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, same. Definitely.
All right, everyone. So the best way to support us is to like and subscribe, share the podcast. If you have the time, we would really appreciate it. You can also go to our YouTube channel and subscribe if you haven't already done so. Our podcast is available everywhere. So for today's episode, we are going to be talking about the Final Fantasy XVI Dominance trailer that we got at the recent Sony State of Play, which we haven't had a chance to talk about yet. And then we'll also be talking about that huge Final Fantasy VII 25th anniversary event that Square Enix streamed on YouTube and also Twitch this past Thursday. So we'll be talking about everything about that. So we'll be giving our thoughts and impressions about all of the game announcements and also the incredible Rebirth trailer that we got. So what do you think, Vyzz, about the event? Did you enjoy it? What are your general thoughts about it?
The anniversary event was great. Yeah, it was great. It started off a little weird because basically the first things were, here's merchandise with a digital Buster Sword clock and bracelets. Come on, really? You're gonna use this time, the tight 10 minutes for this? All right, come on, go on. And then some first soldier stuff that I've already seen that's been posted on our CCO server a while back, so it wasn't really new for me. Okay, first soldier. I don't play it anyway, so I wanted the event to go on. But then it started to become interesting, because Ever Crisis got shown, many more scenes, and then a surprise, I thought, okay, now it's time. And then, wait, Crisis Core? Okay. This looks like a remaster remake? Huh. Didn't expect that. All right, is that everything? And then Kitase said, there's one more. Okay, here we go. Brace yourselves. And then everything went crazy in our Discord server because we watched it live and in voice chat, so we all could talk over each other, basically. Yeah, but it wasn't that much of a chaos as I expected. Also, probably because I held back a little bit to give the others a little bit of breathing room. But yeah, it was great. It was fun. Much better than I expected.
Yeah, same here. I was also there with you watching it live. I did have to leave the voice chat, though, because I was so distracted with people talking. So I'm like, okay, I have to leave because I'm like, I want to focus 100% on what's going on, no distractions. So then I'll hop back in after to kind of just, discuss everything and just, honestly, my brain is still broken. That's all I can say to explain how I feel. Like, I watched it and then I couldn't believe what I was seeing, but then I was also trying to piece it together and just make sense of everything. Also, the trailers had a lot of cuts, with different scenes from different parts of different games in the compilation. Well, more or less like the OG and also
Mm.
Crisis Core, but then like just to look at what's happening in the trailer and then to figure out like, oh, okay, this is Crisis Core or this is the OG. Like for me, it just took me a bit, so that's why I had to go back and rewatch everything multiple times just to make sure that I understood like what was happening. But I still don't feel like I 100% just get everything that was shown. But anyways, we're going to kind of dive into it. But generally, I thought that it was an incredible event. I wasn't expecting a Crisis Core remaster at all. I think after the leak was came out that it was just kind of this obscure kind of message with the different colors from the different console platforms. Then I was kind of like, okay, well, it seems like it's more real, than it was before. But yeah, up until then, I don't know. It just surprised me. It was emotional as well, just getting that Rebirth trailer at the end. Like, it just totally brought me back to how I felt when we got news on Remake and just, us starting the podcast and just over the years, everything that we talked about and all the people that I've met and just being there with everybody in the CCO. Obviously, people are there like all the time, but I haven't had time to because I've been so busy. But just, I don't know, it just brought me back to that moment again. And I just felt like it was great. And I was pretty much speechless. So
Yeah.
I think that they won in their event. Like honestly, for me, I mean, being a Final Fantasy fan, obviously, it's kind of like, I guess, biased, but Summer Game Fest, was good.
It was fine, yeah.
But we got a lot of sci-fi horror games that, back to back, and I feel like the pacing was kind of off with that. No E3 this year. The Bethesda Xbox event was really good. They showed Diablo 4, which is great. We got, what else? Dragon's Dogma 2, which is pretty crazy. But for me, like, this event just surpassed everything for me. So
yeah, same here as well. Of course, bias and many of the other games and events or some consoles don't really interest me because I've limited time and I need to manage this time with the gaming I do. So
same.
The thing is that I just need to focus on a small subset and then maybe choose, I want to watch this, I want to watch that. And then sometimes they show games that I might be interested in, but it's so low on the list that I wouldn't have any time anyway. So it's a bit of a bummer.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Summer Games Fest was also pretty interesting to watch. Although a little bit too many shooters and fantasy stuff. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just a bit too much of the same, I felt. But some cool gems like the Turtles game, the pixelated games. I love pixel art.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. But in the end, as you said, this Square Enix event, or more like showcase, 10 minutes or 14 minutes and 43 seconds showcase, was probably the best thing so far because it's exactly what I wanted, minus the first soldier and the merch. But it's also SE that they need to market this as well. Of course, it's a part of it, so it's fine.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, who doesn't want a like $250 Buster Sword alarm clock?
Yeah.
I mean, they got to make money somehow, and then hopefully they're funneling that money to the Remake series. So
let's hope so. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But totally, I watched Max Dude's reaction video after the fact, and he's sitting there like, come on, guys! Like, they're showing merch. He's like tapping his non-existent watch on his wrist.
Exactly.
And he's like, come on, guys! He's like, come on, what's going on? Then he was like, I guess it wasn't too bad. It was just 60 seconds.
Yeah.
And then he's like, if they show the first soldier next, I'm going to lose it.
And he lost it.
And then they show the first, and then he's like, what is happening? Come on, guys. Oh my God, it's only 10 minutes. I'm like, yeah, you're saying how everybody was feeling.
Yes. Yes. Definitely.
But yeah, I get it. They want to sell their merch. And there's a lot of people that buy that stuff.
Yeah.
They don't care how much it is. Notice how they also didn't share the price.
That's true. That is true.
I'm scared.
Yeah.
Especially the jewelry. Like, come on. Somebody out there wants to buy me some of those bracelets. I would love that. My birthday is March. So better start saving.
Yeah.
For my birthday present.
I don't need any presents. But send all the presents to Kai. He needs it.
Yes. Please. Anyway, so let's talk about the Sony State of Play. We got the Final Fantasy 16 Dominance trailer. I really liked it. I really liked this trailer. I appreciate them showing us something and giving us an extended look at this game. I think that they had to at this
Yeah.
point. I think they had to because they were like they had already said previously that they had planned on showing us something, but then plans got shifted around and it ended up being where they couldn't show us something. I think it was earlier on at another event. I think it was Game Awards actually. I think it was slated like the rumor was
Yeah.
that they were supposed to show
Yeah.
something at the Game Awards, which didn't happen. People were disappointed. So I'm so glad that we got this trailer. I'm surprised by the summer 2023 release date, though, that they told us at the end. And we predicted, even with the announced 6-month delay, that it would be out this summer. So I'm a little disappointed, but like I'm fine with it. I'm happy waiting for this game. I hope they take the whole year to really, debug and polish this game to make it the best that it can be.
Yes.
And I think it's fine. I'm okay like waiting for it, and especially too with the Final Fantasy VII, games that we're going to be getting, the mobile games, and also the Crisis Core remaster. I'm going to be busy. We're both going to be busy. We're going to be distracted while we wait for this, so I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
I was surprised though that Yoshi P showed it now. I mean, I guess he had to, but like he did originally say that he didn't want to show it until it was like
close to release, yeah.
Which it's a year away, so
yeah, this is not that close. Yeah.
But yeah, so I guess he kind of was conflicted, like I have to show something, but like I told him I wasn't gonna show it until it's ready to be released. But I'm sure like he already said, what's going on behind the scenes, and so yeah.
Yeah, I think so many things happened behind the scenes that we are not privy to, and parts of it is naturally COVID related, as Yoshi P already said last year, or at the start of the year or something, that it got delayed internally by 6 months.
Yeah.
And maybe because of this delay, the release schedule of Square Enix games in general got shifted around, and maybe they also realized, hey, if we want to present or release a masterpiece, we need a bit more time. And that's what I thought, because the shareholders apparently expected a 2022 financial year release, if I remember correctly, and now it's in the 2023 financial year release. So who knows what happened back there?
Yeah, I heard that their stocks plummeted after the announcement as well, because people
could be
sold, I think, because they expected it to come out this year. But
yeah, could be. I didn't look too much into it. Just heard it through the grapevine, basically, or not quite the exact or fitting analogy, but still, it's. I think Audrey posted something on Twitter. Some CCO members or scholars posted some things, and just thought, well, I could research a little bit, but it doesn't really interest me. I just know it's coming around then. I'm hyped, and it's fine. I have other games to play.
Yeah.
I'm still going through the Trail series. Now I'm trying to go through Horizon Forbidden West. But video editing and stuff held me back from playing, so it's really hard to find time to play games nowadays. Yeah, that's the reality. So I'm not too mad about it. Which also leaves a little bit more time to maybe get 1 or 2 videos out for this game before it comes out. Because now I'm also busy with more videos for Rebirth, maybe some other things. I'm gonna see what I'm gonna do. But it provides some more time from that angle. I'm fine with it.
Absolutely, I feel the same. I think that this game is going to sell boatloads.
Yeah.
And I am totally fine with it, being delayed or announced to be, a year away from now, as long as when it comes out, it's incredible and it's super polished and it's a complete product, and I think that that's what's going to happen. And Yoshi P has a great track record, especially with Final Fantasy XIV. And after that whole fiasco, and it was re-released, A Realm Reborn, and just, I think that game has sold like hotcakes, man. Like there weren't even enough keys or something, digital keys. I remember that a lot of people jumped ship from World of Warcraft.
Oh, right, yeah.
And then, like, I just think these shareholders are so absolutely ridiculous. Like,
Yeah.
okay, bye, see you later, sell your shares, whatever, because the people that stay are going to be the ones that, you know, are the smartest ones because it's going to sell. So the stock price is going to go up after this game comes out in 2023 because it's going to sell like crazy.
Yeah,
So
for sure. And I'm pretty sure the stock price also went up after this the Square Enix showcase.
that's true. That's
the
true.
anniversary.
Yeah.
Pretty sure. So whoever sold, well, your loss.
Yeah, exactly. They need to go public. I want to buy shares. Come on. What's going on here? I want to own a piece of Square Enix.
Maybe I will one day. Who knows?
All right, so getting into the trailer here, I loved the extended look at the icons. It looks like we're getting icon battles between them, these epic, huge battles, not just, you know, like a pre-rendered cutscene summon like Final Fantasy 15. It did kind of remind me of the summons from 15, but it looks like we're going to be able to battle them. I'm not quite sure how in-depth it's going to be. Like, are we going to control them like in Final Fantasy X and then they do these epic combos or like ultimate, ability attack, or if it's going to be more like a quick time event battle. I'm not sure what you think about that, but I think it looks pretty awesome. I'm super excited about that.
Yeah, same. It could be both. I'm not quite sure yet either because we only see health bars, nothing else. In other battle scenes, we see the whole UI. Maybe the summon battle UI is not finished yet, so they didn't show it, or it is actually just a quick time event battle, or what I just was just reminded a few seconds ago is Nier Automata also had those giant battles, which were quite different. And I think you had, if I remember correctly, it's been a while, you had high, middle, and low attacks or something like that. It was quite basic, but depending on which of the 2 or 3 attacks you used, kind of like a rock, paper, scissors system or something akin to that. And you had to be pretty quick, of course, because otherwise you were too slow with your attacks and got hit instead. But it felt a little bit clunky, so I'm pretty sure this will feel more fluid. At least I hope so. The icon battles, and it's gonna be very, very cinematic because in one scene you can see Garuda hacking off one of Ifrit's arms, and Ifrit blasting off an arm of this huge giant golem or whatever it was, and stuff like that. And Phoenix getting slammed by the Hellfire, and it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I agree. I think it looks great. I can't wait to, see more of this and get my hands on it because I think that it's going to be exciting and, it kind of breathes like this fresh kind of vibe into the series for me. Like it's similar in a way from what we've seen in previous installments, but it's also something different and new. And I'm just really excited to see what they do with it. So I did like the battle and the gameplay footage that they showed. I think that the UI is a little overdone for me. I think that it needs to be a little bit more refined. I said that it's looking a little bit like Stranger of Paradise mixed with like Final Fantasy 13 right now.
Okay.
Just like with the text and the numbers, that
true.
Like the damage numbers look more like the font they're using. I don't know. It kind of looks like 13, but
also 14.
And it's kind of flashy. Right. Yes. And I did see that 14. It looks like the limit bar, right?
Exactly.
It's basically like a copy and paste from 14. So I just think that I'm not sure what they need to do, but I just feel like it needs to be refined.
Yeah, it looks a little bit clunky and big. Maybe just slim it down a little bit.
Maybe more cohesive.
Yeah.
I don't know how to explain it. Like, it's just not like they don't have a cohesive.
That's true. Yeah.
Style of it. Like, there's different colors and different bars and different, like, I just feel like it needs to be cohesive. Like, just like choose a style and go with it. If it's like the medieval kind of like, silver, which is kind of what it looks like, but then the colors don't really go with that vibe.
It feels like a patchwork almost.
Yeah.
Like, as if different teams worked on different aspects of the UI or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And at the bottom left, there's the item command menu, which looks a little bit different than the normal attack menu to the bottom right.
Yeah.
And then the whole health bar and status area looks completely different. The health bar is just a bar, but the limit bars have this clunky golden border around them, and it doesn't look bad, but it looks incoherent, as you said. It needs work, and I'm pretty sure that's
Yeah.
only one aspect they need to overhaul in this year that's left.
Yeah. Absolutely. People were disappointed because they thought that there's not going to be any party member switching or other party members. It hasn't really been 100% confirmed, but people are a little disappointed about that. Obviously, we haven't seen any of that yet, so we don't 100% know, and they haven't announced it. But
yeah, I'm 99% sure that it's a single party or a single character battle system, because we've only seen Clive battle so far.
Yeah.
Plus, he can switch between different styles, let's say, or different summons, which lends more credence to the thought of a one-person army, so to speak. Because what else would other party members do? And what's more, there is one scene where we see Shiva unleashing diamond dust, but it's we see the UI from Clive's battles, and he is actually standing in front of the enemy, which is called something like fire spirit, something like that. I don't quite remember.
Okay.
It's just some fire elemental thing, and it seems like he has not guest characters, but maybe other people or summons that help from time to time. We even see this in the first trailer. There are, I think, 3 or 4 battle scenes where we see another ally in the back battling a goblin or being focused on another enemy and not Clive, and also looking like one of those marked guys and stuff like that. And in the beginning, looking like one of the Rosario Knights. So it's pretty sure that they're just guest characters that are AI driven, like Red 13 in Final Fantasy Remake. Final Fantasy VII Remake. It's important to 7. Yeah, from that point of view, I understand that many people are disappointed because Final Fantasy has been a multi-person party game or party battle system. I'm pretty sure there is. It's Lightning Returns, but that's a third game, a second sequel of mainline entry. So this is different. Also, Crisis Core is just Zack, but it's also a spin-off. But from the mainline games, always party members, and maybe 4 at least, if not more. Well, 2 had 3 plus, I think, a fourth one that's tagging along from time to time. So 3 main characters and a 4th guest, if I remember correctly. So it is breaking conventions big time. Also, the battle system is more actiony than in Remake. Remake is kind of a hybrid, and you can always slow down and scroll through your menu and take the time to select whatever item, magic, or attack you want. Doesn't seem like this in 16. It's pretty much just a beat for beat action game with not quite combos, because if you look closely, you do perform combos, but only by just stringing attacks together. But all other attacks are just individual attacks that can be stringed together, kind of, but I don't think it's like an actual combo game like Devil May Cry or Bayonetta, which actually have combos, and you can look at those combos up, and each combo has completely different outcomes and different movesets. But here, it's attack has a multi combo and standard attack. We have the summon bound elemental attack, which has a cooldown. We have the R2 actions, special abilities per summon. There are 2, I think. At least that's what we see from the trailer, which also have countdowns when you use them. Some you can only use it in the air, some you can only use on the ground and stuff like that. And it's I've read a post somewhere, I think it was on Reddit, that compared the FF16 battle system to Devil May Cry and Dragon's Dogma, because the battle director is the same in all 3, or at least Devil May Cry 5 and Dragon's Dogma. And it's much more like Dragon's Dogma because it has a similar like secondary attacks. You have those face button attacks, and then you can press some switch button to switch certain attacks up. But it's not this huge combo galore like Devil May Cry 5. So
Yeah,
it's something to look
exactly.
forward to. I'm pretty sure there's still a little bit of tactics or strategy involved, but quick thinking strategy, I think. And I also believe that the strategy comes more from which summon do I use in this situation, because all different summons seem to give Clive different abilities. Some are area of effect, some are like upwards or downwards attacks, roundhouse attacks, straightforward, stuff like that, different elementals. And it looks like a mess, but I think when you're past the tutorial stages, it should become pretty fluid, I feel. The only thing that bothers me a little bit is this the huge display of all those special things you do, like combos or ability hit or perfect dodge or what have you. Maybe it helps to see what you actually are doing, but it covers like a third of the screen or something, and it's a little bit too distracting. I hope they shrink this down a bit, or don't show everything, or maybe you can just switch it off in the option menu if you don't like it, stuff like that. Yeah. That's my battle system rant.
Yeah, I agree with you. I understand that people are disappointed that there's no, other party members or party switching, as far as we know. But, Square Enix, especially for Final Fantasy, they've been moving away from that for quite some time. We've been seeing that with 13, Lightning Returns, and then also with 15. There were other party members, but they weren't controllable. So
Right, you're completely right. I forgot about that. Yeah, in 13 you control only one, the leader, and the others you can set commands for the others, but it's if the leader dies, all battle is over.
yeah,
It doesn't feel like a party. It feels like a leader that issues commands. Same in 15.
yeah.
You're right, yeah.
It's just that I think that they are trying to get away from that because, it's not as popular in Western games. And I don't know. It's like they're trying to break free from that identity, maybe. It's like they have an identity crisis. They don't know.
Yeah.
Like, maybe that is their identity, but was it really their identity? Because there's been other games with other party members and that have been time-based, ATB system. And they've been moving away from turn-based combat for a while. But I don't know. It just depends on what they are trying to achieve, what they're trying to do. They're trying to grow as well as a brand and relate to, I think, younger gamers as well as us,
to the
and trying to
masses.
keep us happy because,
Yeah.
Exactly. They're trying to kind of create the newest game with amazing visuals, an incredible story, which are all things that are, they're defining traits of Final Fantasy games, right? Along with, pushing the battle system forward and just offering something fresh, something new. So I don't know. I can understand why people are disappointed, but also we do have the Remake project where they do have party switching, and it's like a ATB fusion, action combat system. So, you can play that and you get that experience in the Remake project, and then you play this and it's more of a, I don't know, updated, I guess, like modernized Final Fantasy game is what I'm trying to say.
I feel Remake and Rebirth and the whole Final Fantasy VII Remake project is basically a real evolution of the earlier ATB systems. It's modernized,
Absolutely.
really modernized, but it still feels kind of like ATB because you have the ATB bar. You can stop the action to select something. You're not forced to play it like an action game, but you can with the shortcuts. So
Yeah.
that's also it. But it's not like some people can play it perfectly without taking any damage, but I think it's not meant to play it that way. It still feels like this quasi old school in a new in a new dress, but also very updated under the hood, stuff like that. It's hard to
Yeah.
describe, but it's I think they struck the right balance, and 16 just goes off the rails in my opinion.
Yeah.
Well, I think it still feels like Final Fantasy because it does go back to its roots in terms of setting, and it still has the crystal themes. It has
Yeah.
the wars, the intrigue, and stuff like that. But
The summons
yeah,
too,
exactly,
and
the
or
summons.
the icons, quote unquote.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It still has many hallmarks of Final Fantasy, but the gameplay probably is departing quite a bit from especially
Yeah.
1 through, let's say 1 through 12. 12 also had a little bit of difference because the enemies were also already on the map, not separate battle screen. This was new there, but this was still kind of ATB based, but also automated. So I think 12 was really the first one that actually quite deviated. 13 went back a bit, but very restrictive, and then 15 also went completely in the other direction in basically single character combat with action based with dodging and stuff
Yeah.
like that. Let's see. I personally don't care that much because I want a cool experience. I
Same.
value characters, story, and just coherence and funness of the gameplay over what specific gameplay is it. I just want to feel the identity of the game.
Same.
If it's more action, if it's more turn based, I don't care that much. It just needs to
Yeah.
feel coherent and fitting to the setting and the story and the lore, whatever they are using.
Absolutely.
And it seems to fit FF16's direction. And it could be that they tried to go with a party system, but as a story and the characters developed, they thought, no, it doesn't fit. We need to get somebody on board who's an expert or a proficient in single character combat. That's what I think. Maybe it's not that case. Maybe they wanted to do it from the beginning. Who knows?
Yeah, I'm still thinking that we might get guest party members, or like you said, you can recruit maybe some knights or these.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they're not NPCs, but they will fight with you. So
Yeah.
kind of like how Octopath Traveler, like if you talk to somebody, you could like recruit them and then choose them, and then when you go into a battle, they're there and they help you.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Like something like that. You know what I mean?
Maybe. Yeah.
But it's maybe more in depth than that. But it's not necessarily like a fully controllable character that's important to the plot, where we actually go and discover things about the history and the story of those characters as well.
Yeah.
Like it's probably not going to be that. Who knows? But I'm okay with it. I'm just open to the changes, and I think that I'm confident that Yoshi P is going to deliver something that everybody's going to enjoy. It's going to be an amazing game. It's going to sell boatloads, and which means more money for more Final Fantasy games in the future, right? And maybe they have already been remaking Final Fantasy IX behind the scenes, which is what was the rumor from that NVIDIA leak. And a lot of those games have been confirmed. So maybe what they're doing is they're remaking the classic Final Fantasies, and they're still pushing the series forward and having like this new revitalized combat system and story and characters, so that we're getting what we want in a different game that we already have played, but then also this fresh new experience for newer players as well, to get newer players into the series.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Like Final Fantasy 15 sold a lot. It sold a lot. And that game went through developmental hell. So many changes.
It was kind of a mess in the end and streamlined.
Even in the end, it wasn't even really finished.
Yeah.
Like,
exactly.
I mean, and it sold a lot. A lot of people like that game.
but to more casual gamers or those that are not hardcore JRPG gamers or hardcore Final Fantasy gamers, probably just thought, well, it's a cool game. It plays nice, looks interesting, has cool characters.
Yeah, exactly.
And play it once and it's good. And that's money for Square Enix. So
Yeah,
it worked out.
absolutely.
And the marketing, of course.
Yeah, exactly. Just a few more things. I did say that I love this more mature and darker depiction of the characters that we're seeing. Kind of reminds me of like Game of Thrones ish kind of, and I'm here for it. I love it. And I did say that I'm super excited. It looks like there's kind of like a love scene or some kind of romance between characters because it shows them in bed together.
Yeah.
I was like, is this like, do you think we're going to have romanceable characters? Because that would be cool. I think that would be cool. You know, kind of like.
Why not? Yeah.
Like other games that offer that. I think that would be cool. But then we would have like the shipping.
Yeah, probably.
Community would go crazy, I feel. But I don't know. Other games have it. It would be cool.
Depends on how the story is structured. For some stories, it doesn't make sense. For this one, it's hard to say. I do think that this scene is a fixed scene, but who knows?
Okay.
It's really hard to say. It's hard to say. But like you, I also like the more mature and dark depiction, like going in the direction of a real dark medieval fantasy game and storyline. I do hope that it still has a few quirky moments and characters that you can laugh about, but in such a serious game, it's probably hard to come by. But it still needs a little bit of alleviation at some points, because if it's only dark and darker, then at some point you get depressive or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it's exhausting too, where you have to stop playing because there's no like break from that.
Yeah, exactly. And your Game of Thrones analogy also rings true, because I think one of the developers or somebody on the team mentioned Game of Thrones. I think, if I remember correctly, as an inspiration. But also, if you look at the Drake's Head, the crystal near Oriflamme, that's the capital of Sunbreak in the north. This looks quite like the ice wall in Game of Thrones, which separates the north from Winterfell in the south. Kind of reminded me of that, so maybe.
Hopefully.
It's also very gory.
Except not the ending. No.
Yeah, I know what you mean. But yeah, it's the gore, the mature depiction, and probably also some inappropriate scenes, let's call it that. Also, compares a little bit to Game of Thrones.
Yes, exactly.
And it seems like many kingdoms are striving for dominance over the world, maybe. So, who knows? All right. I also have a few things, but I'll try to keep it short. I really like that they focus in this trailer specifically, focus on dominance and especially icons. That there's so much to focus on, not just the trailer, but also the story, it seems. They didn't say much about crystals and stuff, but I'm pretty sure they will show that in due time. Like what are those crystals about, and what story and role do they play in the game? But first and foremost, it's all about the summons, the icons. And we now know for sure that Bahamut, Odin, Garuda, and Ramu are in there. I personally knew that Bahamut would be there for sure, because there was so much evidence for that. Odin as well. Garuda, I was only speculating because Final Fantasy XIV also had Garuda and was one of the first primals I think you fight, if I remember correctly, because I have played it. I only heard from other people. So I was pretty sure that Garuda would make an appearance. I wasn't quite sure about Ramu, but it's great to have him here because I love Ramu. It's such a... I don't know. I feel it's great to have a human-looking character, an old wise man who can just throw judgment bolts at the enemy. It's pretty cool. And there's also an unnamed second icon of Earth, which is interesting because we have also a second icon of fire, Ifrit, next to Phoenix. So maybe each element has a second icon to some degree. Like
Yeah.
a positive or a good one and a darker version, kind of like the dark aeons in Final Fantasy X. Each aeon had a dark version of it in the international version. All of them were optional, of course, but here they could just really be part of the story, especially when you think about this thing about the blight. There's a blight that spreads. So maybe those are the blighted version. Who knows? I still need to go through all those thoughts I have in my head for an eventual analysis.
Mm-hmm.
But those are the thoughts that are swirling around in my head. And very interesting. There are in one scene 2 Ifrits fighting each other. One has
Mm-hmm.
probably still the red or orange eyes, and the other has blue eyes. There are blue eyes and orange eyes and even red eyes between the different summons, and even the same summon has different icons throughout the trailer, which is very interesting, which also points towards the blight or loss of control or emotions or something like that. So it's really interesting, really intriguing, let's say, for me, what lies behind those eye colors. There needs to be something, because they wouldn't show it otherwise. Just a minor thing, a few scenes from the first trailer were shown again, but in much higher fidelity, so you really see the progress they made, which was very nice to see. And yeah, that's about it from my side. That was still pending.
Mm-hmm.
If we go deeper, then we'll fill the whole episode. So let's do that at other time, I guess.
Yeah. All right, guys. So moving on here, we are talking about the Final Fantasy VII 25th anniversary event. We're going to start with Final Fantasy VII Remake, now on Steam. So I put finally, and then I put Xbox ? I don't even know if we'll ever get this on Xbox. I feel bad for Final Fantasy fans on Xbox, honestly. I just feel like they just need to put it on there. Although I think you can stream games from PC to an Xbox Series X.
No, could be, yeah, could be.
I get why, as an exclusive to like PS5 and Sony, I get it, but it's on Epic Game Store and now on Steam. I mean, they might as well just release Xbox version of this game, which they probably will, but it might be later on down the line, maybe like a year from now.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they will. Maybe not. It all depends on how much Microsoft is willing to pay, because I'm pretty sure that Sony pays a lot for the exclusivity. But if you look at the release schedule, it's the PS4 release was in April 2020. The Integrate Intermission release was in June 2021, around the year later. Then a PC release on Epic Game Store in December, which is around half a year later. Then now Steam release in June 2020, another half a year later. So maybe in half a year or within a full year, there will be an Xbox release. Who knows? To hype it up again, to get even more players in, to prepare them for Rebirth. So from a marketing perspective, it would make sense in my opinion. Even if I have basically no idea about marketing, just from what I've seen people do. But I would try to fill the gap in between, and not just with Ever Crisis and Crisis Core, but also with another release, because it also means more money.
Exactly, and that's what I was thinking, because people were bringing up the sales numbers for Remake, which the last number that we got was 5 million, and that was when it first released on PS4 only. Like, there's been no numbers published about how many copies of Integrate they sold on PS5. The PC release version of Epic Games Store, they haven't released sales for that. So it's an old number, but people bring that up as like, oh, well, Remake is, a complete failure for Square Enix, and they're not going to finish the series and all of this stuff. And I'm like, well, it just depends. It depends on how you want to look at it, because it also depends on how much is Sony paying Square to have this game exclusive on PlayStation. How much are they paying them? they might be paying them more than the profit they would make to put this game on other platforms.
Probably.
So there's no point to put it on Xbox because Sony is paying them more than what they would actually make selling these games on Xbox, and also spending the money to port it over to Xbox. Like, I don't know. Obviously, the Series X is closer to being a PC. I don't know what kind of development needs to happen to port it for Xbox. Like the changes that the PC version, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know how fast of a process it is, like how much money it would be to put it on Xbox. But at this point, it probably just doesn't make any sense because they're making more money in exclusivity payments for this game to stay on PlayStation than to develop it for Xbox.
Yeah, and I'm not quite sure how it works with those exclusivity deals, but if they release it on Xbox, will Sony stop paying them more because they don't have any exclusivity anymore? Because then they lose money from Sony, but gain maybe Xbox money. But if they don't sell much there, they maybe think, oh, no, it's not worth it. For the porting issue, I don't think that's much of an issue at all because they're developing it in Unreal Engine, which you can just basically change the export target, and then you export it to Xbox. Of course, you need to improve a lot, like make sure that it runs nice on that system, change configurations around, maybe make some alternate different size textures or something like that to make it more smooth for running. Didn't they have performance issues on the PC release at first?
Yeah.
That means you cannot just say, okay, export it to this platform and it just runs. No, it doesn't, because you also need to optimize it for this platform. It's easier, of course, because this if the engine supports exporting to a platform, it's much easier than to just try to do so in your own engine or port it to another engine that does support exporting to that platform and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But still, you need to optimize. You need to know what to change, what configurations to change for this specific platform target to make it run as smooth. Because if it's not smooth, then those people buying it on that platform will say, "Oh, this is a crap game. It doesn't run well," and then the image takes a hit. So.
Yep, absolutely. And Xbox as well hasn't really sold as well as the PlayStation historically in Japan.
Mm-hmm. That's true too, yeah.
And I'm not sure how many consoles Sony sold in North America historically, like PS4, PS3. I think that they did sell more than the Xbox.
Pretty sure, much more, yeah.
The past few console generations. I'm pretty sure it's been all of them.
I'm not quite sure about PS3 and Xbox. What was it, 360? I think the Xbox 360 outsold PS3, but don't quote me on that. I could be wrong. It's just I vaguely remember.
I remember PS2 sold way more than the original
sold
Xbox.
A boatload. I think 150 million or something like that. Just a ridiculous amount. And PS4 also did very well.
Mm-hmm.
PS5, given the circumstances, also very well. And up until I think 3 months ago, it was always above Xbox in terms of sales. It's only the last 3 months I've heard that Xbox One S and X outsold PS5. But still, I think PS5 is still in front of them total.
Yeah.
But I'd need to check the numbers. You can write comments about that to let us know. But that's my current state of knowledge.
Yeah. I think that Final Fantasy is going to end up staying on PlayStation, and it might make more financial sense for Square Enix to keep it there, potentially.
Even Final Fantasy 16 is PS5 exclusive for now.
Yeah.
And Rebirth as well. So I think they stick to their guns. And
I think so.
Just keep the exclusivity for as long as possible. PC release 1 year later, stuff like that. I think they'll stay on track.
Yeah. I think so too. And also, Final Fantasy is a console seller, like people are going out and buying consoles to play Final Fantasy games, and Sony knows that, So
And also to everybody, all of you who refused to install the Epic launcher because you didn't want to get it just for one game, well, the wait paid off. Congratulations.
Yeah, exactly.
And speaking of other systems, some people theorize that maybe there will be a downsized Switch version. It's at some point. I always thought no, that's just not possible. Switch is just not as powerful enough, and they would need to downgrade it to such a degree that it's probably it doesn't meet their standards. But now with Steam, you have Steam Deck. Feel free to play it on the go.
Yeah, absolutely. I did say that I thought that we might be getting a Switch Cloud version.
Oh yeah, could be
Maybe
yeah.
an Xbox release as well, because the snitch on Twitter kind of like leaked the Crisis Core remaster. But I thought it could potentially be Remake instead coming up for Switch on the cloud and then Xbox, because it had a picture of the I think the last scene from Remake with Aerith and
Aerith, Zack, and Cloud,
Zach when they walk past
Yes,
each other,
yes.
holding Cloud. So I didn't get like, Crisis Core from that, because I was like, well, this is obviously from Remake. I remember it, so.
I'm pretty sure this was leaking or foreshadowing or whatever Crisis Core remaster for all those platforms, because it will come out on all platforms, hopefully simultaneously.
Yeah, but then they're giving Crisis Core on all platforms. That's interesting. It's very interesting. Yep, and it only came out on the PSP originally, right? So
yes,
that's an interesting choice. I think it's going to sell because people are dying to play any like Final Fantasy VII content, I think, on Switch and Xbox. So
yeah, sure. Pretty sure it will sell, especially when they release it on all platforms simultaneously. Then it's just more money on at once, basically.
Yeah. All right, so moving on here, we're talking about The First Soldier Season 3. So very quickly, did you want to start us off here, Vyzz?
Sure. As I said multiple times, I don't play it. I'm not quite interested. I don't like battle royales and multiplayer in general. So take everything I say with a grain of salt. But I already saw trailer stuff. For me, it wasn't new. Like the water materia wasn't new for me. The outfits wasn't new for me. Just basically my eyes glazed over a little bit because it wasn't something that was interesting for me and nothing quite as new. So I thought, well, okay, let's just keep going. But still, taking that aside for a moment, water materia. We never had a water materia in the original, or did Crisis Core have water materia? I don't quite remember. I don't think it had it either. I know that Kingdom Hearts had water, but in FF7 canon, I don't think there is one, unless I'm completely off base and misremembering. And I also don't quite know what Before Crisis had for materia and stuff. But especially for 7, it is new. We didn't had one before. So maybe it will come to Rebirth alongside the Earth element, because the Earth element was glaringly missing. And I have an idea why. So in Remake, we had fire, ice, thunder, and arrow. Fire is heat. Well, okay, it's a desert around Midgar. It's hot, heat, stuff like that. We have ice. It's cold, kind of cold steel of Midgar. It's just such a cold city and not really warm. We have thunder, which is electricity, which is what Mako produces in all those reactors. And arrow, which is wind. Pretty sure it's windy out there everywhere. Especially in the on the underplate in, what was it, chapter 6 was also pretty windy. So thematically, all those fit. But now we're outside in nature, and nature has earth and water. The earth needs water to survive. So I'm pretty sure that we'll get both in Rebirth, which also makes sense to provide more elements, because now we have four. Now then we have 6. It's kind of builds upon the first part in terms of gameplay, and I'm really looking forward to getting those elements. And maybe in the last part, which I hope is called Resolve. This I'm glad you also called it Resolve at the very beginning of this episode, because I think Resolve makes a lot of sense. But more on that later. So if in Resolve we might get the Holy and Darkness elements, who knows?
Yeah, that would be really cool. I like your idea about the water, materia, and earth. And it just makes sense because they're out exploring the
Yeah.
world and, in the mountains and, I don't know, just like, on the plains, just like in the greater, larger world. So I think it does make sense.
Yeah.
They haven't seen it yet. So it'd be something new that they could give us. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what they end up coming up with for Rebirth. But, the fact that they made it for the first soldier is, I think it's a clue. I think like you're onto something there for sure. Like, why would they make it for the first soldier? Just and put it in that.
Yeah.
And not have it anywhere else.
Exactly.
I don't know why would they do that. Like, if you're playing the game and you're new to the game and you've only played the first soldier and you're like, where's the water material? Oh, there isn't one? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, that's a broad generalization, but it's not available. So I don't know. But yeah, I think that would be cool.
Yeah, same. And I think in this season 3 they announced was also all those silly costumes. I don't think they showed off all of them.
No.
Because I remember seeing a tweet announcing 5 new costumes. One was Genova in the tank, Genova Dreamweaver, and then some weird Genova Power Ranger outfit. I don't quite know what that is.
Oh, yeah.
The black purple one. And then this weird green reactor-like outfit which has a radio head. Kind of weird thing. And then an actual reactor in chocobo format, like a reactor chocobo as a costume. And like, what is this? I was just, come on. Chocobo, fine, but a chocobo reactor? I mean, sure, it's Shinra, but it starts to get ridiculous.
It doesn't have to make sense, Vyzz.
Fair. It's just silly costumes, and they can sell them more, and people can show off, and just be silly in the game, which I guess. It's just for an outsider perspective, it's like, why?
Yeah.
No shame to those who buy them and use them, because it's...
Of course.
I'm pretty sure it's fun to run around with those and mock the others. Oh, you got killed by a chocobo reactor. Ha ha. Yeah.
Could you just buy them, or do you have to buy a ticket and then the ticket is a raffle and then your chances of getting one is like 1 in 1 million? Is that...
Oh, I have no idea.
Could you buy them? I don't even know. But I remember before, I forget what skin it was, but people were complaining because they were like, you can't even... Like, you have tickets and then you use your ticket, but it's for like a raffle system.
Oh, so
it's a random drop. You can't even get it. You just can't even buy it in the store. So
we really need to have John on at some point, because he's the first soldier aficionado. So let's hope this happens at some point. Yeah.
Well, I did want to just say that they did include the DMW system from Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core. It says that slot reels appear when you deal a certain amount of damage to give effects like increased movement speed, increased critical hit chance, and HP recovery. So I think that's really cool that they're including that system in the first soldiers.
Yeah, it sounds fun. It just changes up the gameplay a little bit and provides this oomph for besides normal gameplay. Maybe even if it's just randomized, but I think so many things are randomized anyway, especially as what you said with the basically lottery tickets you have to buy for the outfits. So
absolutely. And it's great because it's kind of giving, an introduction. I mean, if you play this and you haven't already played Crisis Core, it's kind of like, oh, what's this? And then if you end up playing the Crisis Core Reunion, then it's like something that you've already seen. You're like, oh yeah, I remember seeing this in First Soldier. So I'm getting stat bonuses, or I'm getting, increased movement speed, or different bonuses that the system gives. So I just like it. I think that it's great, and I think that it makes sense.
It's basically promotion for the game. So
yeah, absolutely. And then it looks like we have a Zack Mimic. It says a Buster Sword will appear on the training field during the collab. So take the sword to transform into Zack. Dash through the air and hit your enemies with special combos. Only appears in standard matches.
Oh.
So yeah, this is great. I think it's really cool.
Yeah, and also the polygonal CC skins. They look nice.
Yeah, for sure. And Geo.
Yeah.
I like
Genesis.
that. Yeah, I like that. All right, Viz. So moving on here, we're going to be talking about Ever Crisis and the extended trailer that we got at the event. So, did you want to go ahead and start us off with this section?
Yes. I'm hyped and not quite as hyped at the same time because it's mobile only, and I'll probably try to get it to run on BlueStacks because I don't play on mobile. It's just not my style. But then, is it possible to still kind of play with the controller? Probably not. So I have to use the mouse in the battles and in the battle scenes. I don't know. We'll see how it pans out. But I certainly want to play it because it will be a different experience, even if it's just playing through the original again, playing through Crisis Core again. But I'm pretty sure it's a little bit streamlined. The battles are different. I've seen. Now we could take a closer look at the battle system. I have a few things to say about that too. And we get to play before Crisis lore, Dirge of Cerberus without the clunky battle system there in the original Dirge of Cerberus. So this is hype, and Advent Children. So for those three we haven't seen yet. We have only seen the original and Crisis Core. So I'm hyped for those. But yeah, we'll see how everything will pan out. I'm pretty sure it will still be fun, even if you don't play on a mobile phone in some way. So yeah, that's just a quick idle thought. We have seen the original and Crisis Core. The original, of course, is out, and we have the remake. And the original parts of Ever Crisis use a lot of remake assets for the surroundings and in battle. We now have the Crisis Core reunion announcement, and I'm pretty sure they take a lot of assets from there for Ever Crisis. And since there are no other versions of Advent Children before Crisis and Dirge of Cerberus, I'm pretty sure we won't see anything of those until they announce maybe a Dirge of Cerberus remaster. Please no. Or before Crisis port is souped up. Before Crisis would be cool because only Japanese could play it on one of their special phones, which is a shame. Yeah, or maybe they'll just reveal those as they go. Maybe sometime next year without having other releases for Before Crisis, Dirge of Cerberus, or Advent Children. Who knows? But for now, it's OG and CC only. What I also find pretty awesome is the outfits. I hope you can unlock them and don't have to buy them. Same for the battles, for the weapons and stuff, because in one interview they said that there will be some microtransactions for weapons and stuff. So I hope it's not just buy only, so that you can just play a little bit longer and get those, especially the outfits.
Yeah, I agree.
We have Samurai Cloud, which is interesting. He uses a katana or samurai sword, but still has 2 more holstered on his belt, which reminds me of Roronoa Zoro from One Piece, who also has 3 katanas.
Interesting.
So
I did not even notice that.
Okay, yeah, it goes by pretty quickly and it's dark. So I usually download trailers and then look at it in Premiere Pro, so I can just scrub through the footage and go frame by frame back and forward. So it's pretty easy to spot those things. And I can also add effects like brightness and adjust the contrast to see more details in the dark areas. So for that, it's very handy to have Premiere Pro or any other similar video editing software. But yeah, that's Samurai Cloud. I call her Biker Tifa because it kind of looks like a sort of biker outfit. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm not a biker myself. And Cetra Aerith looks so beautiful. At first glance, like in the first half second, I thought, "Oh, wedding dress? Oh no, it's just a Cetra thing." Or maybe Minerva stuff, but Minerva looks too different and has like an Athena armor not such a dress like Aerith dons, but
Oh,
that's
right.
why I think it's just a Cetra outfit for Aerith. And looks really beautiful, as said.
That would make sense,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I'm pretty sure we'll get so many more. Most likely also bathing suits, what have you, because those always sell.
Yeah.
Please, Costa
Yes,
del
they
Sol
do.
bathing suits and surfing mini games and stuff, please. But that's a conversation for another time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, what I also noticed, the scenes where they show off the costumes are in battles against those two humongous enemies in the Wu Chai segment from Crisis Core.
Mhm.
So this is probably part of the boss rush mode, and I'm wondering if you can only apply those costumes for the boss rush mode. I'm pretty sure because during the normal gameplay, more probably kind of feel jarring. Maybe battling Sephiroth in your trunks. I don't know.
That would be great.
It would be awesome, yeah. But still, I'm not quite sure what they'll do. But it could be that they confine all the customization for the boss rush mode, not for the story missions.
Yeah.
And now something very interesting. I posted about this on Twitter because in one of the battle scenes against Motor or Motor Ball in the original game, Aerith has Diamond Dust instead of the Limit Break. The others have Limit Breaks Fire in the Hole and Blade Burst ready, and also full Limit Break bars, yellow. But Aerith has a purple or a pink limit bar, and it says Diamond Dust. And in the next scene, Shiva actually emerges and uses Diamond Dust. So I see two possibilities. Either you can equip either Limit Break or a Summon for the limit bar, or there is a mechanism that turns your limit bar into the summon bar, and then you can summon. Kind of like in Remake, where summons have certain conditions you need to meet for the summon bar to appear and fill up. Maybe something like that, who knows? But it's a very interesting mechanic I found there. Because the UI is completely different. You have an attack button, which also has its own ATB bar, a circular around the button. And then you have an actual ATB bar with 6 segments and all your abilities you can press. Each ability costs 1, 2, 3, or however many ATB bars or segments.
Yeah.
And there I only saw normal abilities, elemental attacks, stuff like that, but no summon stuff, of course. So and summons need to be special. So I'm pretty sure they just link them to the limit bar to kind of make them more special, and you have to choose between do I want to use limits, do I want to use summons, or stuff like that.
So where on the UI is the limit break / summon icon? Is
Directly underneath the HP bar.
on the left.
Yes, there are two. It's interesting in Ever Crisis, you only have one character active with the whole menu stuff, and then to the left, small depictions of the other two characters with HP bar, limit bar, and I think the current ability they want to execute, and the face.
Yeah.
So HP bar and limit bar are the more important parts. Also, no MP, only ATB, which is also pretty interesting, but lends itself more to a fast-paced mobile game because you don't want to manage all your resources, you just want to press buttons.
Yeah, exactly.
So this makes sense.
Yeah, I was thinking that there's a little arrow there, so I was thinking that it's just like a pop-out menu so you can actually have a limit and a summon equipped at the same time, but you just press that and it'll open the menu so it extends it so you have 2 boxes and then you press what limit break or if you want to summon.
Maybe, could be. I can just look at my own image again, and oh no, there is an arrow, but it's the yellow arrow next to the character name, which only depicts this one is the leader, like in Remake. It has the exact same iconography. I don't think there's any other menu you can open. There is this. usual mobile hamburger menu, but that's probably just to pause the game or go into settings or exit it or something. And then you have the auto button, where I can just basically go into auto mode like in Final Fantasy 13, where I can just select auto and then it will just select all the ATB actions for you. You don't have to select them yourself. Other than that, I don't see anything. And what's also interesting is Aerith does have her own limit breaks. In one scene where you see the her Cetra outfit, she uses Seal Evil, which is one of her limit breaks. So it's not that Aerith has turned into a summoner. She still uses normal limit breaks, but here in this screenshot she has Diamond Dust ready. So that's quite the interesting feature, let's say.
There's a lot. I'm just gonna say in the first Soldier, yes, it's mobile, but there's a lot of menus that are hidden under menus in that game
I
that
see.
pop out when you press something. It has a pop out menu with you can choose between level 1, 2, or 3 of the materia, even if it's upgraded. So like there's a lot of buried menus. So I don't know.
See.
I hope that we can do both.
Yeah, same.
Like I wouldn't want to choose between a limit break or a summon. Like why not give us both? I hope they give us both.
Maybe you can press on the on the face graphic, because the face graphic is also surrounded by this purple or pink border that signifies it's a summon, and underneath the character icon it says Diamond Dust. So maybe you can press on it and then select between summon or limit break. Maybe that's also something I can see. So you're right. Maybe there's a hidden menu, and it's just not signified by arrows or other icons.
Yeah, I'm looking at the video now. Yeah, it just looks like it's purple glow around her like portrait, and then the bar is purple.
Exactly. Portrait. That's the term I searched for before. Portrait.
Oh,
yeah.
It does have like a triangle in the corner of their name.
Yeah, that's the leader signifier. That's in Remake as well. It says who is the leader, like which character you're running around as. Not running around, but the one that you control at the start of battle. Like with which character you start the battle. That's what this yellow triangle is for. And I'm pretty sure it works the same here, because I'm pretty sure you run around with Cloud all the time, and then when battle starts, you start with the character you decided to be the leader, and then you can just switch whenever you want, of course, like in the Remake.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping that you can do both. That would be great, instead of having to choose between them.
This would be a bit of a bummer, that's true,
Yeah.
But yeah, the most important or most interesting and intriguing segment of this trailer was the reveal of how Sephiroth looks in his youth. With short hair, shorter coat, and smaller shoulders and stuff like that. And a different katana. He doesn't have the Masamune, it's a different one.
Yeah. Anybody getting Chadley vibes? Because I am.
Well, not quite the same hairstyle, but yeah, there are certain people that kind of have a feeling that Sephiroth and Chadley have more in common that you may think. I don't agree, because besides the silver hair, there's basically nothing connecting those two. But who knows? I've been wrong on things in the past.
Well, it could be with Chadley was like based on Sephiroth, like when he was younger. You know what I mean?
Could be, because I'm still crafting theories about Chadley. I still have this in my back burner, but now other videos need to be made first.
I know.
But this Chadley analysis, there is one thing I can provide as a teaser. He claims to be Hojo's assistant, but he's an android, I think, or a cyborg. No, he says cyborg, exactly. So he was human, but then made into a robot, basically.
So he was human. Okay.
Yeah, that's what a cyborg implies. But
Oh.
yeah, it could be that Hojo made him kind of in the image of young Sephiroth, but maybe that's
Mm-hmm.
not more to it. It's maybe all it is to it. Who knows? But more importantly, it's a bit tangent, more off topic. But there's a lot of gold saucer and catchy or Sith imagery on the design of Chadley. But that's for another video. Yeah.
Oh. Okay. I'm intrigued.
Mhm. So yeah, um, just one thing about young Sephiroth. They already teasered this or talked about an additional chapter or additional storylines about this one legendary soldier's youth, which of course is Sephiroth. They never named him, but of course it was Sephiroth. Plus, also younger versions of Shinra executives, which will probably take part in this story segment with Sephiroth at, let's say, around 15 years of age or something. Probably where he starts to realize that he's so much stronger than everybody else, and
Mm-hmm.
nobody's a match for him, and he's something special and stuff like that. Who knows what they cook up? But it's interesting for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But the first thing I thought of when seeing short hair version, it's Riku or young Xehanort from Kingdom Hearts because they have similar hairstyles.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I'm sure people are like, oh god, not Riku.
Oh god, not Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, I heard that too. Yeah, Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's about it from my side from the Ever Crisis trailer, and I'm looking forward to it. Definitely looking forward to it.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Same here. Said that it's great to see an extended look at the scenes for this game. A lot of people freaked out when they saw Aerith's outfit,
Yeah.
which I thought was really cool. Just the fact that they're showing more of the outfits, like Tifa looked cool, like you said, like a biker girl kind of, off the shoulder, like sweater. And I thought it was actually
Mhm.
Cloud's Advent Children outfit that I saw, but you said it was like a ninja outfit or something like
Yeah,
that.
at first I also thought it was Advent Children because it looks kind of different when it just flies by. Yeah.
Where he has like a leather jacket with like the shoulder thing.
Yeah, and also this one-sided coat-like thing around his
Yes,
legs,
yes.
stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But then when you look closer, of course, you see the two additional samurai swords or katanas.
Yeah.
But it's hard to see because it's dark and it's kind of a fast scene with
Yeah,
at
yeah, I
least
watched it
two.
on YouTube.
Mhm.
I was trying to find the original press video on their website because I like to download the actual
Yeah.
videos and then like watch them in slow motion, but they don't have the
Nope.
Ever Crisis trailer
Nope.
posted, just the Crisis Core
Yes, only Crisis Core
reunion trailer.
and Reunion, but it's almost as compressed as the one on YouTube, so it doesn't really
Yeah.
do much.
Mm-hmm.
It's a shame. It's a real shame.
I was saying maybe we get this in Rebirth, like outfit changes. I would like to see
Yeah.
that, They're putting it in this. I'm not saying like maybe as crazy as like just wearing whatever you want and like buying in things from the shop and it's outrageous and it doesn't have anything to do with the story. But
Mhm.
I mean like if you could buy different outfits and they do show that maybe pertain to the story or have some effect, like give you a bonus stat or something, that'd be really cool. And obviously we didn't get that in Remake and they don't have that in the original, so like how could
Mhm.
you justify it? But
Well, to a certain degree, they have different outfits in the original, but only when they're
it's story.
when they're disguising themselves as Shinra
Yes.
soldiers and MPs and the
On the
Marshmallow
beach.
Sailor on the beach. Unfortunately, not. But I hope they will introduce separate costumes for there.
Yeah.
And I also hope they will receive new clothing from Holzhoff near Gaia's Cliff to keep
Yeah,
warm
that would be
instead of
cool.
doing this stupid mini game. Just get them warm clothes and then be done with it.
Yeah. And I would like to see the equipment on them, like if they're wearing
Yeah.
like a bangle, like show it, or they're wearing a vest or something.
Yeah, this would be cool too. But I think this is too much work because then they have to with a vest, it has to fit on the outfit, and Tifa or Aerith wearing a protection vest.
That's true.
Look weird, and
Yeah.
Barrett wearing a tiara and stuff like that, which just looks silly. But that's only for accessories. But the actual armor are just bangles, basically.
Yeah.
They could show that, but
Yeah,
still,
that'd be cool.
maybe they tried and it looked silly. That's why they didn't do it.
Maybe.
Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
But whole outfits there, they need to be there. Also, when we visit Wutai, then maybe there's some event there where they all dress up, traditional Wutai garments, just things like that. Local outfits, and
Agreed.
And bathing suits and trunks and stuff like that. It just sells like hotcakes.
Mm-hmm.
Put them in a trailer, and then everybody will love it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so we got a look at, I guess, Final Fantasy VII OG and Crisis Core in Ever Crisis, which I'm happy about. I'm assuming that we didn't get anything else because potential spoilers for Rebirth, the other games in the series as well. So
maybe they don't have the assets yet. Who knows?
Yeah, that's true. But I was also confused because they cut between both of the games multiple times. And I'm like, wait, where's this scene from? Is this from Crisis Core? Is this from OG? Like I was like, what is happening? So it broke my brain, basically. Like I was like, what is happening? And then people were like, that's not Sephiroth's katana, like it's not the same one, and blah blah blah. And I'm like, well, I realized that they focused on that, but then people were like theorizing, like it just was like so much at once. I was like, okay, I can't even think about that. I'm like, I just can't. Like I just Same thing with the Buster Sword. Like Zack's Buster Sword is not like the one that we're used to seeing.
Yeah, it doesn't have the golden
like
hilt.
That. Yeah. So then they were like, oh well, here's my theory that this is like not the real Zack. This is and all this stuff. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, it just was overwhelming. And I'm like, I haven't even had time to even like kind of unpack any of that yet. We'll talk about it in a bit, maybe. But anyway, I also said at the end, it looks like that Sephiroth has like geostigma or something, or is that blood on his face? Because they did focus on that.
I think it's blood. Okay. Yeah.
It looks black though.
Yeah, it's just dark red. It's dark red, yeah. Because geostigma is not a thing there yet. Only after OG.
Yeah. Well, I was impressed with this. I can't wait to get my hands on it, to play it. I have an iPhone and I have a Mac, so I can just like do screen share on my computer screen on my Mac and then also use my controller. And it's not like the First Soldier where it's an online like shooter. So something like this would work. You know what I mean? Hopefully it works in BlueStacks though, so that you can play. But the First Soldier did for like a few hours, and then they updated it so it doesn't work on BlueStacks. So
seriously, that's weird.
Yeah, I hope that you can play it on BlueStacks. Otherwise, we'll have to do a crowdfunding so you can get an iPad from our listeners so you can play it,
or something
we might
like
have
that.
To do that. Yeah. Yeah, we may have to do that. Take donations.
Although I'm not quite sure, because one of our scholars on a CCO, the one that records footage for the videos, tried the First Soldier in BlueStacks and it worked, at least the title screen. So
it worked for me way back, and then they updated it, and then after that it didn't work anymore. But I haven't went back to it in a while. So maybe it works again now.
Maybe it was temporary. Who knows? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm super excited for this game. I do think that it's going to be more like the Pocket Edition of Final Fantasy 15.
Yeah.
Now from seeing this, like it's not going to be all of those games in this one game, and it's not going to be the exact same game. Like it's just going to be the main story beats of the games in the compilation all together. Like I was thinking it was going to be all of the games, like everything, but the vibe that I'm getting, it's not, because like I was surprised. Like we're going to talk right now about Crisis Core Reunion reveal. So like I was surprised that they actually came out with that, because my thought process was like, why are they going to spend time and money to do that when they're just giving us the story through Ever Crisis anyway? So
Yeah,
isn't
exactly.
it redundant? So I was really surprised, but then I thought about it after and I'm like, well, if it's just chapters, like it's not going to be the exact same game recreated in Ever Crisis. It's just going to be the main story beats so that
Mm.
we're getting all of the story, like a refresher on the
Yeah.
story. Like it's still a game that we're playing. We're taking control of the characters. I like that, but then I realized, okay, well, it's not going to be just the exact game recreated in Ever Crisis. More like Final Fantasy 15 Pocket Edition because
Mm.
it's not the full. It's the full game, but it's the story beats. It's
Yeah.
not the exact same game, just made in chibi characters. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So I
exactly.
see the value there of having the Crisis Core Reunion game available. Yeah, so let's just, I guess, start talking about that. So I just said I was surprised that we were getting this. I just said, are we getting these games at the same time? Because I think that if we're getting Crisis Core Reunion, it's coming earlier than Ever Crisis, right?
Oh, it's hard to say. I think
It said this
yeah,
winter.
both in this winter. Maybe
Because it's a little bit redundant. Because if
yeah.
we're playing through Crisis Core Reunion, then we're getting that story, and then we're also getting it again in Ever Crisis. And they're not going to probably release the Crisis Core story chapters at first
Mm,
because they said Ever Crisis is going to start with Final Fantasy OG story,
yeah,
right?
I think so, yeah.
So there's going to be some, like a little bit of a break between when we play Crisis Core Reunion and then get that story in Ever Crisis.
Could
But I
be.
think it's an interesting choice. I'm happy about it. I wanted to play Crisis Core Remaster for a while. I love that it's coming multi-platform. It's going to be on the Switch.
Yeah.
Some people were upset that it's coming on Switch because they were like, "Oh, thanks Switch players. Like, you're the reason why we're not getting a complete like remake of Crisis Core, from modern day platforms." And I'm like, well, I don't know if that was in the cards anyway, to
Yeah,
be honest with you.
definitely.
Like, we don't know that. And I like that it's coming on Switch and all these other platforms so people can actually get some Final Fantasy VII content on other platforms. I think it's a perfect game for the Switch. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, same. I also think that's it's a good choice to release it everywhere. Also, it's again pretty sure it's in made in Unreal Engine 5. It's
Mhm.
from the scenes I saw. There was a video uploaded which showed both side by side, the original and the scenes from the trailer, and they're identical. All the
Mhm.
animations, it's really identical in terms of animation and camera and stuff. It's just that the models are completely different.
Exactly.
So it seems
Yeah.
like they imported a lot of things into Unreal Engine, especially all the bones and the animations and
Yeah.
probably also the models, but then replaced all the models, all the textures, all the level elements with completely new assets, so that it actually
Yeah.
looks good, but is still the
Mhm.
same game, and maybe then recreated the logic according to the original game. It seems like they still have the source code because otherwise, why why recreate it one for one exactly this way? This would be too much work if they didn't have the source code or something. So
Yeah.
I think that's why it's possible and why it also looks so good. Because at first I thought, wait, a full on remake, but no, it's
Yeah.
just a really sophisticated remaster. It's technically a remake because they don't take the original game in the same engine and just make it better, but
Yeah.
you recreate everything in the new engine. I hope with all the same assets, so that they have the whole foundation and then build upon it. And when you look, the UI is also completely redone.
Mhm.
That's a huge difference. Sure, the individual elements are there, but it's still very much different. Especially materia and item. In the original, you could equip all the materia and I think also items to the slots, and then you just switch through the slots and use whatever you have selected in the slots.
Mhm.
But now, yeah, all those slots are only items, and the materia is a special 4-point sub menu, probably mapped to the four face buttons.
Yes.
And this is quite a departure in terms of UI and user experience.
But
So
that's good.
I think it's good too.
Honestly,
Yeah.
the UI, the original one and the control scheme, not my
Nah.
favorite.
Same.
Not my
Yeah.
favorite. Like I'm like, what is happening? I mean, I figured it out eventually, but like when you initially start playing, you're like, okay, whoa, like whoa, like what? Anyway, I
Yeah.
just found it really annoying and super hard to control, and I also was confused.
Yeah, it breaks the flow a little bit because it's set up like a kind of an action game. Sure, you
Hmm.
had the reticle, you had to
Yeah.
say which one you want to attack, and then scroll through your uh, material slots or whatever to select the magic or ability or item you wanted to use it. It felt a
Yes.
little bit clunky, I think.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, but honestly, now there's no barrier to entry, right? Like it's
yes,
just it's a remaster. It looks great, available on all platforms pretty much. And I love it. I
Mhm.
like that, this is being made.
Yeah, same.
And I'm totally going to get it and I'm going to play it and I'm going to enjoy it.
Also, this is interesting. They didn't just reuse all the old voice clips because now they want
Yeah,
to voice all the dialogue because maybe
exactly.
half the dialogue was not spoken, just in text. And since they want to have everything spoken, they can't or probably don't want to reuse the old VAs because they will by now they will sound different. Some maybe not alive or don't want to, who knows? And now there are new VAs, especially Zack already has a new voice actor in Remake, and it will make sense to use the same one in Crisis Core Reunion. So yeah, that's it, new VAs. And there are probably a lot of, maybe not a lot, but a certain section of the fandom that are upset about this and want the old VAs back and make petitions and stuff like for Remake. But uh, just just please roll with it. It's not the end of the world. As long as the new VAs make a good do a good job and make it sound passable.
I did not think that this was new. This was Zach's new voice actor.
Well, I just assumed it was the new one because it didn't quite sound like the old one.
Oh,
It had the similar tone, like in his last stand. It sounded more like the original,
hmm.
like the tone, because in Remake he has a more upbeat voice direction. Maybe they realized, oh, this wasn't quite the voice direction that was meant to be there, and reverted to the old voice direction where it's more serious. So who knows? But from what I've heard, all the VAs are new.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I think it's the same voice actor for Zach, but since they need to have everything voiced, like you had said, because previously there were some parts that didn't have voice
Yeah.
acting and you just had to read text, those are now voice acted. But the only new voice that I heard was Aerith.
Aerith, it's sounds like it's Brianna White. Not 100% sure,
Yeah,
but she sounds like this.
yeah.
And Jill also sounds different.
Oh,
Sephiroth, not quite, but it could be that Tyler Hoechlin managed to get closer to CC's Sephiroth. But it's just from what I've heard that the VAs are new, and Jill is definitely a new voice actor. Zack's
hmm.
impression of Zack speaking at the very first thing he says sounds robotic and weird and not like the original. So it sounds re-recorded, but who knows? I didn't look
Hmm.
more into it, so you can all correct me if you want.
I think that I've read conflicting things, honestly, because
Could
I
be.
think somebody was saying it's literally copy and paste like the same voices. It's just that they edited it and they made it sound more clear. They
Mm.
might have added some kind of like I don't know, plugin or
Yeah,
some kind of
filter
like
stuff like
voice,
that. Yeah.
yeah, filter, like a voice effect to it to make it sound different, like a little bit different, because the audio quality was coming out of the PSP.
Yeah.
Like this is not up to par with like today's
Yeah.
standards with audio. So they probably they exported it and then they put it through some kind of a like filter or updater. I don't know.
Well, I'm pretty sure that the source audio files weren't that good because of the compression for that, so that everything fits onto the I don't remember how the disc was called for the PSP. but this disc only had, I think, 2.1 gigabytes, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So all those sound files had to be compressed, and now they have more free data space for that, and you can only do so much to improve them. And since they would need to re-record a lot anyway to make the old bad voice clips sound like the good re-recorded new ones, is probably too much of a hassle. So just re-record everything. And then if certain voice actors aren't available anymore, or they think, okay, let's just streamline everything, let's have the same voice actors we already have employed and contracted to now also record for Crisis Core. So it's from the workflow and the work pipeline, makes more sense to take the same ones and not just try to get the old crew together, because they now also sound much different. It's, what is it, 15, 16 years ago, Crisis Core released. So in so many years, voices change. That's probably also another reason why they chose to record with the new ones. But again, I have to check and really make sure that all of them are new. And Gio is definitely new. He sounds different. Zach, maybe. Aerith, definitely. So
I think you're right.
Yeah.
I just went back and rewatched the ending to Remake on YouTube. Yeah, I think you might be right.
Of course I am. No, I don't know. It's just what I heard and what I heard in the trailer and what makes sense. And that's true. It also, in the end, it doesn't really matter anyway. As long as the end product is good, sounds good, is enjoyable, then it's all good, all fine. And also, I do think it makes sense, since it is coming out between Remake and Rebirth, that the voice actors sound the same across those titles. And
I totally agree. So that it's consistent, cohesive. Yeah.
And since Ever Crisis is not voiced at all, it doesn't really matter there.
That's true. Yeah.
All right. And here's a big change. We already talked about this or brushed this a little bit in the Ever Crisis trailer, but the original Buster Sword is shown and not the golden hilt one. So it really seems like they want to retcon, or let's say correct, the mistake they made in the past to change up the Buster Sword. And now it seems like all the newer iterations have the studded hilt on the Buster Sword, not the golden one. Besides this one small scene taken from Advent Children in Chapter 18 of Remake, where we see Cloud facing off against Sephiroth. This one sliver of future memory shown during the Harbinger fight. That's the only time where we still see the golden hilt. Everywhere else, it's gone. And I'm glad. Although there was a theory floating around that back in Zack's time, he had the golden Buster Sword, but then Cloud covered it up for some reason to maybe just bury the past.
Yeah.
And then after he regains his all his memories after the live stream segment, he takes it off again. So he has like his fake persona, the studded layer above it, the iron casing is gone again. This was one theory. Somebody else proposed, and I also took into one of my videos. But looking back, I think it's better they just they revert to the original Buster Sword. The Buster Sword looks like this. It has never been touched, never been altered, and maybe it has a little bit of rust now, but that's about it. I think this is the good choice. However, in Zack's Last Stand, the pre-rendered scene, when you look closely, it still has a slight sliver of gold between the blade and the hilt. You see a shiny sliver of gold there. So who knows? But Angeal has the same. So even he carries the original Buster Sword, not the Crisis Core Buster Sword. and he never touches it, and it's holy to him. So I'm pretty sure, and when he got it or his family got it, it was always this way, and nothing got changed. So it is definitely a retcon.
Ultimately, it could just be a mistake as well.
Yeah.
Like I mean, look at all the mistakes that you found in Remake. You're like, okay, well, the skybox is wrong here because the center pillar is here. And it's like, yeah, they didn't even do that properly.
And this is much easier to do.
And then in order to fix it, you have to download an HD mod that was just released. By the way, props to that person who made it on Nexus Mods or whatever. It's so good, by the way. You have to download it if you have it on PC. But it fixes all of that.
Yes.
It's like...
It's really good.
Come on, Square Enix. Having the community fix your mistakes.
Yeah. But wasn't Advent Children first, and that one even had the golden hilt in the flashbacks, and on the cliff with where Zack's quasi grave was.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think it's weird. Why did they choose this? But they had the reasons, I think, because you don't do that by mistake. This is an active design decision. Maybe it was designed that way, and others thought nothing of it. Okay, yeah, looks cool. Let's just do it. We'll think of it later. But now, since the remake is out, they need a more coherent experience and a better canon. And I thought, okay, let's release all those things and recreate the Buster Sword again, make it like the original, erase the Golden Hilt from existence. Maybe this is also one of the reasons why they wanted to remaster Crisis Core, to get rid of that mistake. Who knows?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or something else.
Yeah.
Which is what we're going to talk about now.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and the second thing, and probably the most important reason why they wanted to create a remaster, is to fit it in with the whole remake shenanigans, and thus the title Reunion.
Mm-hmm.
And the only thing I can think of right now, without going further into it and thinking more, is that in the original Crisis Core, you got a post-credit teaser with Cloud racing through Midgard, basically the original opening recreated, and then continuing in Final Fantasy, or see you again in Final Fantasy VII or something like that. It said, but now this post-credit scene needs to be completely different to lead into Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
Absolutely.
Where also the reunion takes place. So who knows? Something is there in the woods, and it's rustling. Yeah, but also it could also just mean reunion of old friends, like all those friends who we haven't seen in a while. Zack and Jill, Genesis, Sephiroth, they reunite once more to tell the prequel, basically the story that actually led to Final Fantasy VII, the events that transpired there.
Yeah,
because Zack it's kind of a retcon, I guess, from the standpoint of the original game, but he's responsible for many things, even for the name Seventh Heaven, for the connection to Cloud, not just who Cloud now is, but he also fell through the church the same way Cloud did, and then connects them even more. Some feel that's contrived a little bit and redundant, but some say it's a nice reference, nice parallel. Who knows? It's a matter of opinion and taste in the end, I guess. But there's also another thing about the reunion. It's a reunion of different story threads. We have the original timeline. We have the remade timeline now, which leads into Rebirth. Then Crisis Core, which is the basis for all of this, and which leads into Zack's last stand, which now turned out to be different, and he lives, quote unquote. And there's just so much intricate intertwinings, let's say, that I think in each subtitle, in Remake, Reunion, Rebirth, you can read so much into it, and each of them have at least two meanings.
Absolutely.
So this is quite interesting indeed. And we'll get to that a bit later, but Nomura-san did confirm that those 4 titles, Rebirth, Rebirth, Crisis Core, Ever Crisis, and the first Soldier are all connected in some way.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, let's see how this all turns out. But just going back a little bit, what I noticed during the summons, the summon cutscenes, which were actual pre-rendered cutscenes in the original Crisis Core, those are not the Crisis Core versions. Those are the remake models. Ifrit and Bahamut look like they do in Remake, which is quite interesting. Maybe just model reusage because they didn't want to recreate the old ones because it's pre-rendered scene, and maybe also to make them closer to Remake and Rebirth, and to maybe fuse the style, or just make sure that yes, those are the exact same summons and not just different ones, which makes sense continuity wise and otherwise.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and something that's bothered me a little, but is probably just a remnant from the old days. Crisis Core in itself had also two different qualities in a certain cutscenes. Some cutscenes were higher quality, had better models, better facial expressions, and others had a little less fidelity. And I think those voice acted were the better scenes, and those not voice acted were the lower fidelity scenes. And it shows, especially when they cut from Aerith to Lazard. Aerith looks so beautiful, really well made. She really looks so good. For a remaster, this is phenomenal. But then, next scene is Lazard, the director of Soldier, the blonde guy. And he looks just like four levels worse or something.
Yeah.
Maybe they will increase the fidelity there too. Maybe it's just a work in progress. But on the other hand, it releases this winter, only half a year away, so not too much time. And it's just the cut between those scenes that makes it so obvious. And within the scenes when you're playing the game, it's not that obvious because you don't have the reference. But it's something that bothered me a little. I found it a little bit of a shame. But it's nitpicking, for sure.
Yeah.
Also, some concerns I have. Well, I'm pretty sure they have this thought out. Maybe there are some other changes to Final Fantasy VII Rebirth that we cannot really predict yet, because it's hard to predict all those things, the variables that are not really in our sights, we don't have evidence for. But Crisis Core reveals the huge, big reveal and twist in the original, that Cloud is not and was never a soldier. He was only a normal grunt, an infantryman, an MP, not soldier at all. He only wore a soldier outfit after Zack freed them both and just put it on Cloud to, I don't quite know why, because to make him less obvious, I don't know. But that's I really have concerns, because that's basically gives it away. And I'm also sure that they don't want to only cater to those who have played the original game. Naturally, most of the people that have played at least the original game, maybe Crisis Core already, and now replay it. But taking away all those mysteries beforehand, and in the next, it's not even in the next game, in Rebirth, that this reveal happens. It will happen in the last game, because I'm 100% sure that they will not go past the northern crater, the whirlwind maze, where a meteor got summoned and the weapons emerge. I'm pretty sure this is the last part, the end game, the final chapter. Because if they go further, then it just won't make any sense from a storytelling perspective, and will contain too much content. So why reveal this now in a game that comes out around the year before a game that doesn't even contain this twist? I feel this is weird. Maybe they think, oh, okay, people that are new to the series will maybe forget about it. Maybe those that jump into Rebirth don't really know about Crisis Core Reunion. But on the other hand, they market it as everything is connected and make it available for all platforms. And I don't quite know what their plan is.
Hmm.
Sure, they could play around with it, and maybe say, okay, this is Zach's point of view. Cloud has a different point of view. What is real? What is not? What is a fact? What is fiction? As seen in the trailer. But I still can't really make heads or tails about this very issue, and I'm concerned.
Well, it's not the same as us experiencing the original at that time and then getting more information about Cloud and Zach's past through Crisis Core that came out a lot later than the original, like 10 years, right?
Yeah.
It's 2007. So
Exactly.
it's like they're giving us that before we're playing Rebirth, which is the big reveal, right? And I do agree that I'm a little like hesitant about that. Unless they're building us up for a bigger reveal
Yeah.
where that is like just not even the biggest reveal of all, right? Like that
Maybe,
is
yeah.
probably what I'm getting, is that there's some kind of a twist or there's a bigger thing that's coming, where that in the original was very, very big, and it still is.
Yes.
But there's something else coming this time around.
Yeah, I certainly hope so. But still, it is such a good reveal, and it is
Yes,
the
it is.
plot point of the whole story. The whole
Yeah.
the whole game through, or not the whole game, but a bit over half of the game, you think the Cloud is a soldier. He is what he says he is. But at certain points, you start to doubt, but you don't quite know what's up with that. Something is weird. Something doesn't quite fit. And Tifa's reaction is strange. And then you have Sephiroth basically laying it all out, but going a bit overboard, so we don't really know what are the lies and what is truth.
Yeah.
And you don't really trust him because Cloud says, "Oh, it's illusion anyway. He can show us whatever. He just wants to confuse us and whatever." It's really hard to say what is actually the truth. Sephiroth could just be messing with Cloud, and everything Cloud said before was true. Although Tifa has weird reactions there, so you're not quite sure, and Cloud has his bzzzt moment again, and he doesn't remember what he did before Soldier, and it is really weird, but I still don't know what actually happened. And the reveal is so good that he was there all the time, and Tifa didn't know, and this was the linchpin that Tifa thought, hey, you weren't there back then 5 years ago. I didn't see you, but he was. But he also wasn't in Soldier. It's such a double and triple screw with your head.
Yeah.
That it's so good. And if they reveal it now, of all places, in a spin-off that it gets remastered, I don't know. They need to have a plan for this and have this in mind, because otherwise, I don't know anymore, seriously. But yeah.
Dude, that's if people understand that and actually like pay attention. A lot of people don't have a clue, dude, because they're not the ones that are, you know, like up to date on all of these things like we are, because we're huge fans. Some casual players played this when they were kids. They forgot it. They're re-experiencing the story now, but it's not the same. But a lot of people don't. They don't realize. Like there's no like critical thought process. It's just everything at face value. Like a lot of people they just don't get it, or they miss things in the story, and that's totally fine. That's okay. So I think that it's still going to be huge for those people. It might be disappointing for us.
Yeah,
but
probably.
then with Rebirth though, it's not the same as the original. So it's going to be exciting for us just the same. A little disappointing if they're giving that twist away to us. But like, I think that new players and people that have already played this that forgot are not, they're not going to be like, it's going to be effective, but they're not going to remember by the time Rebirth comes out.
Let's hope so.
Some people won't.
Yeah.
And for us, there's going to be some bigger twist that's going to blow our minds, I feel.
Yes, for sure. Certain things that get built up in Rebirth and then have their resolution in the last game.
Exactly.
Especially the end, because I'm pretty sure it doesn't end with Meteor trying to crash down, but then gets hauled up by Holy. Not quite. Meteor gets destroyed, but then Livestream comes up to help, and then everything is good. I'm pretty sure this does not happen this way. As I laid out in the 4 hours and almost 40 minutes analysis about Sephiroth. Meteor fall will happen. he will be much closer to his goal. Omega will be
Yeah.
involved. All those shenanigans, or maybe something completely different. We can't even anticipate right now. Who knows? Naturally, there will be more to it, but this twist with Cloud, this story is still there and will be spoiled a little bit. But then again, like you said, they could be it could be leading to a kind of a different twist, and
Yeah.
Sephiroth could be screwing with Cloud in a different way, and with Zack now existing in some way at some point,
Exactly.
this could also lead to something else too. Who knows? But
Yeah. Why do you think they're showing us? Okay, well, we're gonna be talking about the Rebirth
yeah,
trailer in a bit, but like, why do you think they show us the text like, "What's Sephiroth's endgame?" and it
yeah,
shows Meteor? Like,
exactly.
it's not gonna happen in the same way.
Yes.
There's some kind of a big twist or reveal that's gonna give us that information when we play through the game. They
Mhm.
wouldn't show us the end scene of the final like series game like in a trailer. Something else is coming.
Oh, for sure.
We just don't know what yet.
Yeah.
And I just want to add the point. So for Crisis Core Reunion, just before we move on to the Rebirth trailer, I think that they are going back to make it cohesive and coherent to fit in with the remake project. And I think that the last scene that we're going to see after the credits roll is going to be the ending. Like the last stand is going to happen in Crisis Core Reunion as it happened in Remake, where we're going to see the whisper thing and the ending is going to be changed. That's how the game ends. And then we'll see Zack alive and he's bringing Cloud to Midgar, which is how Rebirth trailer starts. And that will be the first scene that we see in Rebirth when we play. Just how it started with the, dark bird that's flying.
Right, yeah. It flies towards Midgar, and now Zack walks towards Midgar. Yeah, could be. Nice parallel.
And then that changes Crisis Core completely, because that's not how Crisis Core Original ends. But this isn't Crisis Core Original. This is Crisis Core Reunion. This is not the original Crisis Core. I think the ending is going to be changed to fit in with the story that they're trying to tell in the remake project. If you want the real ending and see what happens to to Zack, then you have to play the original Crisis Core, because that is not what's going to happen in this story of the remake project. It's not. That's my big thing that I was thinking that.
Yeah, it's a good point. I just try to imagine, like the in the original Crisis Core, the ending was so impactful because it fused the gameplay together with Zack's passing. Like the DMV got more corrupted and damaged over time as he was losing his life more and more. It was so impactful. And then the scene with Cloud. It could be that this is the ending at first, but maybe when you replay it on New Game Plus or something, it's different. Or maybe there's something else that you... Maybe if after the game is done, there is some hidden option you can click, and then it kind of rewinds you to Zack's last stand, and something changes, and then it leads into Rebirth. Or it just shows this in a cinematic form, that it says, "Oh yeah, but now it's different," something like that. Yes, it could be something along those lines. Anyway,
there's a secret in the title Reunion, and I just feel like it's gonna be changed. And they're trying to make everything fit in with the remake project and the story they're trying to tell. And it's just like the original Final Fantasy VII. If you don't like Remake, the original is always there. That story is always going to be there. It's never going to change because it's the original one. This is not that. And it never was that. You just have to live with it and learn to accept it for what it is and enjoy it, and just get on the train because it's batshit crazy and whatever. Like, I'm just so excited to have content in this world. I love these characters. Like I've been saying from day one.
Yeah, same.
And a lot of people were disappointed with Remake.
Yeah.
It's because you had these high expectations and you judged it based on what you had made up in your own mind about what this game was going to be, but it was never going to be that to begin with. And neither is Rebirth. Like, none of these games are going to be that. Just accept it and love it. It's going to be batshit crazy. Just get on the train, enjoy it. I just really think that that's why they're giving us a hint with calling it Crisis Core Reunion, because the
Yeah,
ending is going to be a bit different,
something
and
is
it's going to
different.
coincide
Yes,
with Rebirth and the remake compilation or the remake project.
exactly. Just one thing that I can understand that some people, at least in the beginning, had completely different expectations, because when they just say remake without any other information, that they think, oh, okay, it's a remake. It's just the original game again, just prettier, maybe a little bit expanded upon, better graphics, revamped battle system, stuff like
Yeah.
that, but still feels like the original one, has the same story
Mm-hmm.
beats. And then it comes out, or maybe the trailers also spoil a few things, but then it comes out and it's some things, some aspects are completely different and put the whole thing into perspective. From that point of view, I can understand that some people are upset because it wasn't what they thought it would be, what it was marketed as, kinda.
Yeah. Yeah. I understand that.
Especially if you don't really follow all the little tidbits.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, expecting a company to recreate a game in such a high fidelity, basically to just
Mm-hmm.
do the same thing over again that they did
Yeah.
20 years ago back then. Now it's more. Now it's 25 years ago. This is just
Yeah.
not what many people want. It's just a regurgitation. It's prettier, yes, but it's still exactly the same. It's not gripping. It's not intriguing. It's not. You cannot let go of your inner
Mm-hmm.
artistry, your like your inspiration, your creativity. There are so much
Yeah.
things, so much of this creative energy in those who were involved in the original game, and those who played the original and are now on board with Remake and Rebirth and the others. So I understand both sides, but in the end, it is a new project. It is what it is. You also need to understand the side of the developers. Plus, as you
Mm-hmm.
said, the original game is always there. They ported it to PS4. Crisis Core Remaster will probably be 99% the same. A few things that do connect it to the bigger thing, but the whole game will probably be basically the same because it's a remaster, not a remake. So, but
Yeah.
as you said, the reunion title does forebode something,
Yeah.
but we don't know what yet.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you. I understand. And also, they weren't forthcoming with saying, it's called Final Fantasy VII Remake, but the word remake has more to do than just the game. Like, we're not remaking it, but there's a subtext there, or there's,
Mm.
something that we're not telling you. They did say that later,
Yes, in an
like
interview.
further into the development. In an interview, they're
Yeah.
like, oh, well, remake means something more than that. And then we already figured it out. We were
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, so basically it's like the next one's going to be Rebirth, and then the next one's going to be like Reunion. I remember we already talked about
Yeah.
this like years ago when we
Yes.
first started. But that's because we paid attention and we
Yeah.
know that. Like, some people did not know that. And we're
Exactly.
still, these people are still upset
Mm.
over that. They're like, oh, it's not even a full game. Like, well, we could talk about this 24/7, but we're not
Yeah.
going to get anywhere. You know what I mean?
That's
Like,
true.
it's never going to be what people want it to be. And so many people love this original game. And it's like, it's there. Just play the original. I would be
Yeah.
fine with Square Enix remastering 7 and having upgraded, visuals and like backgrounds and character models like they're doing with Crisis Core Reunion. The models are already rigged. Just plop it in or fix it somehow, but maybe it's not possible. Like, maybe they just can't take it and put it into UE5 and like change the backgrounds or whatever. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know, but there's mods for that. Like, I just don't see them going back, and I don't know how profitable it would be for them to spend money doing that, and then it doesn't sell. I don't know.
That's
But
probably why Ever Crisis also exists, because in terms of the original Final Fantasy VII, it kind of does look like an actual remake. It still has,
yeah,
it has still the fixed camera angles. It just looks way prettier. It has
yeah,
the same deformed characters, just not Lego, but more like chibi characters or cartoon characters. Of course, it is not the same game as before. Gameplay is different. It's for mobile. It's more streamlined. It's probably only, as we said before, the main storyline. not all those side things and optional materia caves, Knights of the Round, what have you. Maybe no chocobo breeding either, but it's still, if you want to experience at least a story again, there is Ever Crisis.
Yeah.
But yeah, you cannot please all people.
Exactly.
Anyway, you do have to expect some backlash from certain parts of the fandom, always, no matter what you do.
Those people aren't going to buy the game anyway.
Mm.
So,
yeah.
Anyway, so moving on here, we are talking about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
Finally.
With a release window.
Yes.
Okay, we're going to be giving our general thoughts. Oh my God. Okay, so I lost my mind. I freaked out. I had to leave the voice chat and just like focus. I couldn't believe that it was real. Which is how I kind of felt when Remake originally got revealed as well. Like I was saying, it was very emotional. I was just like, what am I feeling? Like, how do I, like, what, am I sad? Like, am I going to cry? Like, I was so excited and happy and like giddy and it just brought me back to how I felt when the original Remake got revealed and we saw those, like the first cutscene of that. And it just blew me away. I was surprised that we got something at all. Like at all. I mean, a glimpse of in-game, and this is obviously can be changed. It's not going to look like it did in this, because it was literally just Cloud walking with Sephiroth. But the fact that we got to see that at all with a logo and a name, like a title, like I just thought we were going to get some music and a title with like whatever it was going to be called, and we already figured out pretty much it was going to be Rebirth.
Yeah,
because we talked about it before. And it made sense. But yeah, just seeing it honestly and knowing that it's real and that they're working on it since 2019, I was just blown away. I think that it looks amazing from what I can glean from the shitty compressed YouTube video.
Tell me about it.
I know I just keep complaining about it, but just put it on your press site. Like, come on, I want to download it and I want to just slow it down and watch it and see all of the beautiful environments that you painstakingly created. But it could be on purpose where they don't want us to like do that, I guess, and be able to figure things out now. But anyway.
Or it just didn't have the time. I don't know.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. So I like the fact that we're seeing the continuation of Zack's remake ending scene in the sense of the vein of Crisis Core Reunion, like I said. So how this could potentially start. I like that with the white feathers, which is what we kind of were talking about before, how it's like remake started with the like darker bird color. We're seeing like a black feather and now it's like white. So it's like the opposite. So we're getting that play on that sort of, you know what I mean? Like where they're showing the opposite basically. So it's like cohesive, like everything comes back to that. I think that there were essentially confusing spoken dialogue put in random places to throw us off. Like,
yeah,
we're going to go through that anyway in a second, the dialogue. But for me, I had to rewatch a bunch of times because I was like, what? Like, because these dialogue, a lot of them are in the original too. So you're like, okay, when did this person say that? And then you're figuring out, oh my God, it's when, you know, like Cloud's in the live stream and then Tifa's saying this or whatever. Like you're just trying to figure it out and piece it together. So I did enjoy that, but I was thrown off. I basically didn't even focus on the dialogue. I was just like amazed by like the visuals of what I was seeing. And what we were seeing obviously was the Nibelheim, Mount Nibel, right? The flashback.
Yep.
So you can see the curved mountains, the tips of the mountains, which kind of gave it away for me. Not necessarily the diagonal mountains, but it's more like in the top left-hand corner, you can see like the tips. I don't know how to explain it, like what those would be called.
Yeah, just basically big thorns or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. And then I went and I watched the flashback sequence in OG7, and I was like, totally, that's Mount Nibel.
Yes.
Like, absolutely. You can see that, the defining traits of it. and then you see a little bit of the Mako reactor as well,
Just a tiny
and the
bit, yeah.
bridge. Yeah, and the bridge, right?
Mm.
Anyway, I don't know if this is the exact bridge that they walk across because it was like a lot higher. So it's just, anyway, I love that. Yeah, so what do you think about the title Rebirth? I'm glad that it's not part two.
Yeah, same actually. Although certain people already complained because I think it was also Max Dude who said this, that it might confuse people. Okay, there's a Final Fantasy VII Remake, there's a Rebirth, and there's Ever Crisis, and then there's Crisis Core
Mm,
Reunion, and no numbers, no nothing. Which should I play first? What's which and whatever. But
that's true.
on the other hand, each game is self-contained, and if you play them out of order, I'm pretty sure you still understand it and then have a little bit of a
Mm,
different experience. Because then maybe you play Rebirth first. You don't know what happened in Midgar, but the way it starts,
right.
the first, maybe Aretha explains a few things. They talk about certain things that happened before, so you can maybe extrapolate what happened before. You have maybe not the whole foundation, but you know
Yeah.
enough to keep going and understand what happens within the Rebirth game. Same with Crisis Core. It has its own story. You understand what's happening in it. You may be not privy to all the references and all the other things, but the more games you play, the more complete gets your whole picture. So I think it's not that much of a problem. And since each game is confined in itself, as they explained at the very beginning, but also now in
Yeah.
those developer letters again, which we'll talk about soon, it's each game can be experienced by its own, which I find good
Hmm.
because otherwise it's Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2. Okay, do I need to play the Part 1
Yeah.
first? And then people won't buy it.
Exactly. And that's what we were talking about before, where we were both kind of scared. Like, there's no way they're going to finish this project because by the end, they're not going to be able to, keep a hold of those
Yeah.
people from that all bought part one
Mm.
to part three or four for the ending because people aren't gonna they can't keep them
Yeah.
for that long. So I totally agree with you. I think that it's a good choice that it's like its own encompassing game and you don't have to have played Remake to
Mm.
get this,
Exactly.
experience.
And there's a good example for sequels being less popular, let's say. Final Fantasy 13 sold, I don't quite remember how
Yeah.
many, but a few million or something. And then 13.2 only maybe 1 million. And then Lightning Returns maybe 250,000. I'm not quite sure of the exact numbers, but something like that. It basically halved or only a quarter of the
Yeah.
previous one they sold. They sold less and less, and that's not something they want with the Final Fantasy VII remake series. So I think this approach is good.
They have to go hard though, and they have to advertise that because a lot of people are gonna think that because they didn't play Remake,
Yeah,
then they're not gonna get this story. So I think we're gonna see that kind of being hammered into our heads more.
yeah,
Like it's its own encompassing game. Don't have to have played Remake. Like
exactly.
for their ads and the marketing.
Yeah, and that's also another reason why I say they need to uh, go up to the Northern Crater, the Whirlwind Maze, because
Yeah.
then the story is actually finished and the characters are at their lowest. It's a great point to stop
Mm-hmm.
because a completely new segment starts afterwards, story wise, a completely new act. As I explained in my very
Yes.
first FF7 remake video back in 2017.
Yeah.
Story wise, it needs to be done. And then the whole reunion part, the whole chasing Sephiroth part with
Yes.
Nibelheim, the revelations, not all of them, but the most important revelations, and the screwing around with Cloud's head and the black materia and summoning meteor and stuff. Everything is in one game, and
Yeah.
then they can create a new narrative or a completely new chapter for the third game, which has a different narrative, different goal. because Sephiroth has achieved a very important milestone, and then only his end game is left. But then there's so many
Yeah.
other things to go, like the Wutai Shinra conflict, Avalanche is still there to some degree. There are the summoned kaiju monsters, the weapons. We have the huge materia quests, all those things, all the loose threads that need to be to completing. And we have the airship, we have the submarine. It's a completely different experience.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it works, definitely, if they
Absolutely.
split it that way.
I love the red added to the logo with the Rebirth words. I like that. I think it's going to play into the story and the events in the game. Also, they were forthcoming and they said that there's going to be 3 installments.
Yes.
So I think that we had discussed this before. Ultimately, I think that you settled on 4 parts and in order to be able to give this story justice, do the story justice, would be 4 parts. So what are you thinking about the fact that it's 3 installments and not 4?
I'm actually glad, because that was my initial prediction. And from a storytelling perspective, I do want it that way. Because as I said before, it's a whole story arc. And from the time Cloud tells about the past 5 years ago until they reach the Northern Crater and Meteor gets summoned, this is a whole act. All of them matches together. And splitting it in Nibelheim, while possible, it does pose some complications, and they would need to expand on Nibelheim present day so much to make it worthwhile. And then starting off the next part is also not that easy to make it into a full game that doesn't build upon the previous one, so people don't need to play the previous one. So I think that's also why they settled on 3 parts, because they weren't able to sell 4 parts as individual self-contained games, but now they can.
I just think that the stakes are even higher, and I hope that Rebirth is huge. They're going to have to fit a lot.
Yes.
I think into this game in order for there to be a satisfying ending to this story that they're trying to tell in the remake project by the last one, right?
However, there's one point of not quite contention, but one point I can see being a problem, and to fit everything in, I'm pretty sure they still need to design the progression as linear, like a linear game. You go from point A to point P to point C, and some areas will be more a little bit more hallway, maybe some caves. Other areas will be more open zones, but still you have a starting and an ending point. You can meander around in between, but it's not like this whole open world some people are expecting. It's still I'm pretty sure it's still very linear. And has, you probably don't spend too much time in each area, because otherwise it will be a 150 plus hour game on your first playthrough at least, because there's so much in it. And for around 5 years development time, because they already started in 2019, I think. Towards the end of 2019, they already said, "Okay, we're already started with part 2 now, with the second game," and it releases next winter, which is 2023 December or 2024 January, February, something like that.
I would say probably March 2024.
Yeah, the latest, maybe even a bit earlier. Just let's say first quarter of 2024 is a good bet. So you don't get burned when you think, oh, it comes 2023. Nope.
Well, Remake was released in March.
Yes.
Right? 2020?
Yeah, 2020, 3rd of March 2020. And Integrate was June 10th, 2021. Yeah. I hope it's a little bit earlier than March, but who knows?
I would
who knows?
Appreciate that.
But it's 4 years after the first game, and around between 4 and 5 years development time total. But you have to keep in mind that all the base systems, the battle system, the traversal system, all the menus and material system, all those things, they have this locked in. Of course, they can expand on it, they can improve it,
Yes.
but the systems are there, the foundation is there. They also have the workflow for how they create all the environments, how the characters work, all the limit breaks. It's there. They basically just have to work on content all the time. That's what Backstreet also said in the stream I watched today. And I totally agree. That's what I was saying all those years ago as well. When they have part 1, they have all the systems in place. And then it's easier to make parts 3 and 4. Part 2 and 3.
Yeah.
Rebirth and Resolve. However, the third one it will be called.
Yeah.
And since they also already started on the third one, it could be that between the second and the third game, there's even less time. Not 4 years, but maybe 2 or 3.
Yeah, that's true. I think that Katase did say 3 years. It's been 3 years or something like that. But technically, I think if it comes out in March 2024, it would be 4 years, right?
Yeah. He said around 3 years.
But they've been working on it for longer than that even, because they started in 2019.
Exactly.
So, yeah. Well, you just gave your guess for the third installment, Resolve, which I like. I do think that fits totally. And it's 2 syllables.
Yeah, Resolve.
I think
short.
they're going to keep it the same syllables. I said reunited. I think we both were saying reunion for the last one, which makes sense.
Yeah.
But it's being used for Crisis Core, so I don't think they're going to reuse the same thing. So I said reunited, maybe revival. But Audrey had a really great one on Twitter, and she said Requiem.
Yeah, I heard that too.
But it doesn't, it's not like it's rec, it's it's not like re.
It's also pronounced differently. It's Requiem. It's not remake, rebirth, resolve, exactly. Requiem. It's you stumble when you say those words after each other. It's not a nice beat. It doesn't have a nice beat to it.
Yeah. What about revenge?
Too cookie cutter, I think, and other people were memeing about revengeance, but
I know, I saw that. I don't think it's gonna be revengeance.
No, definitely not. No, it has to be something in the vein of Remake and Rebirth, short, and on point, and multifaceted, and fitting for the last one. And since Resolve, it actually resolves a conflict, it resolves the crisis. The party needs to show resolve to get to the end and stuff like that. So it's also resolve. It's a solution to whatever there is.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree.
I think it fits. Currently, I'll stick with that until I find something better.
But yeah, we didn't see too much. Obviously, Cloud and Sephiroth walking together. But that's what they had done to throw together to show us, and I'm happy that they did, because I think it looks fantastic already.
Yeah, it looks pretty good. Unless, you count the YouTube compression, which looks like garbage, but what can you do?
Yeah. Interesting, though, that the command is kind of like the old system and not like the UI from Remake. It's not an exact copy. Like, obviously, the marker system on top is very similar.
The compass is the
exact same one.
Yeah.
But then on the bottom, like the word, I think is that how it looks in the Japanese version of the game? No, it looks like ours.
Command, but
it's blue.
When all is capitalized, it's Japanese, because all the English words they use are all capitalized, all uppercase letters.
Right.
But yes, I know what you mean.
It looks a bit different.
Yeah, the command menu or the command prompt in Remake is...
It's just the word.
Bluish. It's light blue text and darker bluish transparent background.
Yeah.
And I think it has the X button as well. Here it doesn't have any button, and just those white indicators that it is a menu of sorts. I don't know, it's more subtle. I like it, kind of. I need to see how it fits towards the rest. When you open the menu, does the menu look good still? Stuff like that.
Yeah.
Can't judge it yet.
Yeah. Absolutely. I hope that it goes away, the menu, when we're doing these kind of more cinematic things
Yeah.
and it just doesn't stay on the screen like static. I think they can make it disappear.
Well, on the other hand, it's a good indicator that now I have control. I can run around, I can do things, and I can open the menu. If it
Yeah.
disappears, you won't know. So
Yeah.
that's probably why.
People were freaking out though. They're like, "Oh, this game has gone off the rails. Like we're controlling Sephiroth. Like what is it even? Like what's even happening? Like blah blah blah." So many like it's
Yeah.
insane actually. It's actually insane.
Mhm.
And then the comment section is like, "You obviously never played the original. What are you talking about? Like this is the flashback sequence.
Yeah.
This is what happens in the original. Like what? Like what are you talking about? These people don't have a clue at all."
Reactionary.
Like it's insane like how many people are just commenting about it when they have no idea what they're talking about because they haven't played the original, or it's been so long that they played it that they forget everything
Yeah.
that happened. So what they're saying doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, or they're so hellbent on thinking that now everything is off the rails, fate is defeated, everything is different. Now everything has to be different. Now we're controlling Sephiroth.
Yeah.
Now it is, and it's only that's the best one. A few hours ago, in our
Exactly.
community posted a theory or referenced a theory somebody had and talked about it on Reddit. I think it's, oh, this game is only Zack, Cloud, and Sephiroth because it's only those people we saw in the trailer and there's nothing else. And only part 3 will then
Get the other party members.
continue with the normal party members. And this is just weird
No.
in between. Like, what? Are you trolling or what?
Yeah, exactly. That doesn't make any sense. In the original, like, Sephiroth fights with you.
Yeah, but you can't control him.
Exactly. So what are you talking about? This is just that. This is a flashback. Like, just stop.
Although I do have to agree to a certain extent that it looks weird. You don't really quite can make out who you're controlling. In both scenes, you can see that it's basically Cloud focused, but then the camera moves around and maybe follows Sephiroth a little bit, then Cloud a little bit, then Cloud goes up climbs up the rocks, but Sephiroth walks, and then, well, who are you controlling? It's not quite clear. But logic says you control Cloud, Sephiroth walks around, because you shall not control such a superhuman soldier that should remain unattainable. If you control something like that, you have control over him. You can you know what he's capable of. If you cannot control him, just see him do all the crazy ass whatever, then it's like, oh, what is this superhuman super soldier? He's cool. I want to be like him, because Cloud sucks and keeps dying, and then Sephiroth has to revive him and nukes all the enemies with level 3 spells. If you can control that, it doesn't come across as the same. Yeah, that's the problem I have.
Yeah, but that's assuming if we're controlling Sephiroth in battle. We're not. Like,
No.
this could be just that you're controlling him to walk there. Like, that's it. Like, in Remake, you control Aerith at one point, where they give you control of Aerith when Cloud is getting massaged or whatever is happening in that room that we don't see happening. But like, she's out running around, like, okay, but we don't battle as her, controlling her without anybody else. Like, it's just that one little thing. And then we come back, oh, okay, now Cloud's got his massage, and then you take over control again. Like, it could be something like that.
That's
like, you
fair.
just walk, you're talking, you're controlling him. Maybe the control goes back and forth because Cloud doesn't remember it happening as what actually happened. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I don't think you're going to be battling as Sephiroth,
Definitely
who's
not.
basically a god. Like,
that
doesn't make sense. Like, what are you talking about? It just doesn't even make
sense. It robs you of the mystery. But for now, I still believe that you control Cloud, and it's just cinematic camera work that you cannot quite pinpoint who it's following.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's all I have to say about my first impressions about the trailer. So, do you have anything else to add?
I think I've said my piece. I already said a few more things that I wanted to say later, but it's fine.
Yeah. All right. So really quickly here, we're just going to dive into the developer notes here. So for me, I just said that I love that, they're being open about this and they're telling us that, it's been in development since 2019 and things have been going really well. And I'm actually surprised that, like, obviously we don't know if it's been delayed,
Mm.
but I remember there was an article, I think a few years back, that said that they actually things were going well and that they didn't think that there was going to be a
Mhm.
delay due to COVID for Remake.
Yeah.
We did get information about 16, and they did
Yes.
say that there was a delay for 16, I think, because of COVID and the transition there. So that's great. And I love that there was a comparison to classic film trilogies. So the
Yeah.
initial trilogy that I thought of was the OG Star Wars trilogy.
Yes.
And they did make a note to say, the second entry
Mhm.
in classic film trilogies is, everybody's favorite. It's
Yeah.
like, the best one, the one that people
Mhm.
remember. And I'm thinking, okay, Empire Strikes Back.
Yes.
And obviously they're influenced or inspired, I guess, by Star Wars, right? It's been
Oh, yeah.
known as well. So I am looking forward to this. And I think that we're going to be seeing, a lot of hurt, a lot of pain, destruction, sadness. I think this game is going to be a
Yeah.
emotional roller coaster. I
Yeah.
think it's going to be insane. And I just can't wait.
In regards to emotional impact and stuff, we even before the, let's say, last third of Rebirth, we have Nanaki's story, we have Barrett's story with Dine,
Mm-hmm.
all those things that are really, really dark or just actually sad and so emotional.
Yeah.
And it even starts there, and also Sid's backstory is also kind of heart wrenching because he loses his dream. He gives up
Mm-hmm.
his dream for to save somebody he likes. So there's so much in there. There's
Exactly.
as you said, emotional roller coaster, and then there's the date, and then it's also the thing with Kate She or Kate Sith, depending on what you prefer. That he's a spy, but then still supports us, and well, maybe granted, some people don't really care about Kate She, but I still do
Yeah.
to a certain degree. And then all this whole Aerith bit when she goes off alone, and then you know what happens to her, and afterwards everybody's crushed.
Exactly.
We go through
Yeah.
an icy hell, a snowy hell, and then climb up the mountain, and then all right, we made it, we're here, we found Sephiroth, and then everything goes to hell again, and the meteor gets summoned. It's just one hit after another.
Yeah. It's a lot as well for Yuffie and
Ah, true.
like her background as well
Mhm.
with her father, and I think they're going to flesh that out
Oh,
even
for
more
sure.
too.
Yeah.
And her kind of like trying to be herself, find herself, but then also like looking for his approval, but not getting it and just being kind of brushed off like as this, you know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
she's just a teenager,
Yeah.
kind of like childish, you know,
And now,
that sort of thing, maybe abused even like mentally, like, you
who
know what I
knows?
mean?
Yeah.
There's a lot. And I'm thinking as well with Vincent as well.
Oh, right. Yeah. His backstory is also
His
full of
backstory,
hurt. Yeah.
exactly. And then we're going to get, well, I mean, obviously it was like a hidden scene in the OG with Lucrezia, but
Yeah. Well, I think we'll get that in the last part. At least it's story wise, it's after
that's
June on
true.
execution stuff. But still,
Yeah.
a few things we might still get here because Vincent was almost cut, and there's
Yeah.
so little of his actual story remaining. And what is there is
Hmm.
so fast paced. Told in a really
Yeah.
fast-paced fashion. So, tuck, tuck, tuck. Okay, backstory gone. Next, and
Yeah.
they have so much potential to expand on it, and
Yeah.
already hurt us with his backstory, at least the first part, and the second part comes to next time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and for Yuffie, if you remember, uh, his her father is in prison, and she hates him, and
Yes.
there's so much more conflict there. And maybe she eventually finds out what actually happened there, what's behind it, and maybe he did
Hmm.
things to uh, actually protect her from certain things or
Exactly.
whatever, and then she realizes that he did this all this for her or whatever. But it could be also relegated to the next part, to the final part. Who knows?
That's true.
It's hard to say what they include in this one, what they include in the next one, because in the original it was optional. You could immediately
Yeah.
go to Wutai after Rocket Town, but you could also just do all the other things
Hmm.
and only visit Wutai on Disc 3 if you wanted to. So from that perspective, they're free to do whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I also said that they made a comment here. It says, this new journey, or something. They said, this new journey for the characters. And people are thought, oh my God, the story's going to be completely different. Like, rah! Like they just freaked out. Like, it's a new journey. I'm like, well, yeah, it's a new journey for these characters because they're leaving Midgar.
Yeah.
And it's considered a new journey since this is the first time that these characters are experiencing the story, right? Except for Aerith, who might have some kind of an attachment to the live stream, so she knows the events that happen, blah, blah, blah. We don't know yet. Like, but this is not like a complete divergence, even though, yeah, it's going to be different. But that's not what he meant when he said this new journey they're about to embark on. Like, that's not what he was talking about. Like, no, just calm down.
For those listening, here's the full quote pertaining to this line. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is being designed so that people can enjoy this game whether they know the original game or not. In fact, new players might even enjoy starting their Final Fantasy VII journey with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. That's what I alluded to earlier. And then we have Cloud and his friends embark on a new journey in this game, and I believe that the scenes that they witness after leaving Midgar will give players a fresh new experience. Yes, on surface level, they're changing everything, new experience, new journey, but no, it's just a changed journey. It's an unknown journey for sure, yes.
Yeah.
But as I and many others said, also the developers, and Kitase-san said this, Toriyama said this, that they will retain the original chain of events, like the Final Fantasy VII will remake, and now Rebirth will still feel like Final Fantasy VII. They won't change it to that it feels like a completely different game, but details might differ. And Toriyama's mentioned the Honeybee Inn as a reference. And yes, there were so many differences between Honeybee Inn in the original and remake, but the core of it was still the same.
Yeah, it was.
And the context around it was still the same. They still went to Corneo all dressed up, and they still went into Honeybee Inn to get stuff for the dress. And it's just the details are different. But the overall chain of events, the overall story, the plot, the narrative is still basically the same, even if some things get added, maybe even removed, because some people were mad that Mookie got removed from Honeybee Inn. Stuff like that. It's still possible. Also, the Avalanche hideout was removed, which many people were upset by, myself included.
Yeah, but then they gave us like Miss Folia, who's like a teacher by day, but then she's like a dancer
example.
by night.
Yeah.
And she's like in the corner, she's like, gotta make my money, girl. Like, okay, I got a side hustle. Like, come on.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
She's like, I always wanted to be a dancer. I'm like, Miss Folia, that's not the only thing you want to be, is it? Tell us the truth, Miss Folia.
Exactly.
She's trying to make money for the orphanage. You get it, girl.
Yeah. No, I really liked all those expansions on all these other characters, also new characters that didn't change the overall story. Marl was there, didn't exist in the original game. The Wallmarket trio didn't exist in the original game, and also Leslie. He's also only a character in one of the novels.
Yeah.
But it still makes sense. It still creates a cohesive whole that resembles the original chain of events.
Yeah, but those characters are canon.
Yeah.
Because they're also found in the Trace of Two Paths, which you should go read because it's amazing. And they do have, an impact on the story.
Yes, definitely. It's a really good book. That's for sure. And yeah, it really expands on all the many different aspects of certain areas, certain characters, and especially Tifa's and Aerith's past. It's really good.
Yeah, exactly. But like if you didn't know them and you don't like it doesn't matter. It doesn't impact it to the point where you don't need to know that to understand what's going on.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. But yeah, going back to the point that while certain words, certain expressions could lead certain people to believe now they're changing everything, it won't be as I remember and stuff like that. Yeah, maybe, but all those are just assumptions. That's what I keep trying to tell people, that don't pick single things and base assumptions around them based on what you think there is. Try to see the whole picture. Get as many data points as you can, and then try to make a picture out of that with as little assumptions as you possibly can. Because otherwise, you will build assumptions upon assumptions upon preconceived notions and some ideas you have and expectations you had before, and everything mixes into a brown blob that smells. I don't know.
Well, it's like you just don't realize what's fact or fiction.
Yeah, nice one.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So what were your thoughts on the initial reveal of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth?
Yeah.
All right, so what were your impressions on the developer comments?
Besides what we already said, yeah, I think we said most of them. But what I wanted to add in terms of development progress, they said, reiterated again, development progresses at an astonishingly fast pace. It's which is really, really good to hear, and what I already alluded to before. This might mean that they're already on Unreal Engine 5. And again, shout out to Max Dude, who told the chat, and by proxy, me too, as a viewer, what UE5 is capable of. Like, they have more streamlined workflows that you can create so many things, whole levels and characters and animations and stuff in such a short amount of time. And especially, let's say, rocky environments or forests and stuff like that, that you can create assets extremely fast, can distribute all the assets really fast. And with photogrammetry, you can create a whole area that looks very realistic, and probably with, let's say, randomly generated elements or what have you. Just populate the area with what you want to have a rough level, and then maybe fine tune it and stuff like that. So if this is what they're using to create all those levels with all those additional tools that streamline the workflow, I think it makes sense that they are progressing at an astonishingly fast pace, as Kitase said, which I really love, because that means, that's probably also why they now can already tell us about a release window.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they have everything figured out, also figured out their own pipelines and workflows, and they have, as I said before, the foundation done and know what to expect. And yeah, it's actually really good to hear. That's what made me really happy. That they keep, every time they say something about it, it goes really well. We're progressing at a good pace, and astonishingly fast pace here. Maybe it's just overblowing things, but still, it bodes well. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
And also, there's Kitase made a big claim that Rebirth may even be a more memorable experience than Remake. Bold words, my man. Bold words. You better live up to that.
He means everybody will remember it because it's going to be so bad.
Maybe. Maybe.
I'm just joking.
Yeah. But no, the reference to the Empire, to maybe also Empire Strikes Back, because as you said, this is the most logical conclusions from the words of Kitase, that beloved second entry or second entries of trilogies.
Yeah.
Also, in The Empire Strikes Back, there's the characters are at their lowest, and in Rebirth, if it ends where I think it ends, the characters also will be at their lowest. So there's another reference to that, like the story structure. And the main characters are already friends. They have their relationships, and they're on the journey and fighting against the Empire in Star Wars, and following Sephiroth here in Rebirth. So there are a lot of similarities. Also, Cloud falls into the live stream and is basically gone. What happens in The Empire Strikes Back? One certain character, I try not to spoil in case somebody hasn't seen it yet. Who knows? One certain character is also lost, and they have to get back in the third movie, or episode 6, if you prefer.
Yeah.
So this is another similarity. Besides, of course, Biggs and Wedge and all the other things they already have. So
yeah,
big things to come. Big things to come.
Absolutely. All right, guys, so moving on here, we are going to be doing our trailer analysis. So, Vyzz, you can start us off with this, and I'll just make some comments as you go.
Okay. And since we're already going pretty long, I try to not go off the rails, but there's so much to talk about. But I'll try to keep it short so we don't reach like 5 hours or something. Well, those with long rides will maybe enjoy it on the ride there, on the ride back. One episode.
Absolutely.
Who knows? But at some point I need to go to sleep, so let's keep going. All right. So we have different aspects. So scenes, dialogue, imagery, some remake memory scenes, insertions, those effects, and the logo. Let's start with the scenes. We already mentioned a few things, but Zack dragging Cloud to Midgar is quite an interesting choice of scene because it consists of 2 scenes or 2 parts. Actually, when you glue them together, it's a continuous scene. They just cut it up with some Nibelheim incident footage. But the first and the last scene were basically from the same scene. And you see the camera go towards those 2, then move around those 2, and then show both from behind walking towards Midgar. And what happens in Remake's ending, the camera zooms kind of towards those, then the camera moves around Zack and Cloud, and then shows them from behind going towards Midgar on the cliff. But still, it's basically the same imagery. It's almost the same. It's just instead of the cliff, they are on the ground closer to Midgar, which I found a very interesting choice of camera work to connect those 2. And yeah, you also mentioned the feather. Besides the juxtaposition between Remake and Rebirth, dark feathers or the dark bird, and now a white feather. There's also another thing. Angeal in Crisis Core also has those white feathers. And when Zack dies and then gets basically called or pulled to heaven by Angeal, there are also white feathers floating around. So a white feather floating towards Zack tells me that there's maybe it's Angeal guiding him or something like that. And this gives more credence to Zack not being in the real world where the living reside.
Absolutely.
And another thing. Did you notice that just when the pipe at the beginning floats by, and then we move towards the fog, that there are live stream particles floating around?
No, I didn't notice.
Normally, if live stream particles don't just float around there, especially not in the desert or underneath the plate and stuff. Only, I think the only place where we've seen that is that the pipe leak at the beginning in the intro where Aerith looks into. But besides that, there never are live stream particles just floating around the place. Unless you count Mako storage, where there's literal live stream soup beneath our feet. But otherwise, there's no. But why are there live stream particles? Because maybe the place has more to do with the live stream than many people realize. Yeah, it's definitely interesting.
I was going to say that earlier about the connection with Angeal as well.
I see, yeah.
But it could also just symbolize heaven, right? So his connection to heaven, possibly, and also the particles are in the sky, in the clouds, where the feather comes from.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, I don't know. I'm getting like heaven vibes.
Yeah, for sure. Which basically is that's what live stream is. It's the afterlife, heaven.
Yeah, exactly.
And he also has the same damage on his outfit and armor and face and skin as he did in the ending in chapter 18 or in the remake in the pre-rendered ending. So it's a direct continuation from there. It's the same. Also, I think most of you already picked it up, but they do walk towards Sector 6 because you see the broken and unfinished plate above. And when you remember in the original game, when you see or witness Zack's demise, when a cloud screams, then the camera also pans out and you see Midgar in the back. And beyond the cliff, you also see Sector 6 that's closest. So at least that makes sense. All right, but there's more to glean from the Cloud and Sephiroth scenes, walking towards Mount Nebel and the reactor, as you already mentioned before. And if you look at the surroundings, the trees, and also the compass, you can see that the first scene where you see the bridge in front of those two, and the second scene where there's the cliff. The forest is basically in between, and it's almost exactly 100 meters between those two locations. So it's not too far apart. So they walk then through a short patch of wood, and then they exit into this open area where they're standing on top of a, what do you call it, a ridge of sorts or a cliff?
Yeah.
With the Mount Nebel spikes in the background. And also something interesting to see there is when you look past the cliff, you see dead trees. But we already walked through living trees. So this means we're closer to the reactor, which sucks away life. It's a nice detail. You don't see it as easily, so probably need to freeze frame it and just look around. But I thought this is a really nice detail. That you emerge from the woods and then you see dead trees. Okay, yeah. A reactor is pretty close. And speaking of reactor, you already mentioned it. You can't quite see in the second scene because of the compression and stuff, but in the first scene between some trees, you can actually see if you play around with brightness and contrast, or even AI upscaling, it helps. You see parts of the reactor, how it looks like in Crisis Core, because of some of the scaffolding around it. So you can already see the reactor from there, which is quite cool. That the reactor is almost already visible from just beyond the village. And then probably the whole path they need to make to reach the reactor, it's always visible. Because it doesn't seem like they can just jump down the cliff where they emerge, but have to go around the right side, a bit above to the right side cliff, where there's some sort of maybe warehouse or a refinery or whatever there is. There's some construction is there and pipes, and in maybe far back in the distance there's the roped bridge, and where they fall down, have to walk around to get back to the reactor. But you see the reactor from most places where you walk through, which I find pretty neat, actually. And it seems like there are more buildings and stuff closer to the reactor, so there's much more around, not just dead mountain roads and then just the reactor. So there's more around, more to be there. Maybe there are also vehicles that maybe have been passing by, not now because it's halfway out of commission probably. Well, no, 5 years ago, it's probably not out of commission because Genova is still there. So it could be just still be life there, let's say. So driving around Mako canisters or something like that. Just more world building, to build everything out more. It seems like they're doing that, which I really like.
Yeah, I can see like a bridge in the distance or something
Yeah.
like that, like when they're on the cliff and the birds fly by.
Yeah, exactly. There's something in the background that could look like a hanging bridge, like a roped bridge of sorts.
Yeah, but it's pretty low because in the OG it's pretty high up.
Yeah, it is. But I'm pretty sure they changed around a few things. But it looks a little bit over exaggerated in the original game. Yeah.
Oh my god, it's so ridiculous.
It is, yeah. And also, in the first scene, you can see some lampposts, which indicates we're pretty close to the village. Like when you also look at the village itself in the original render, there's this path next to the Shinra Villa that leads outside. It also has lampposts. So I'm pretty sure they just exited the village and then are walking towards Mount Nebel. And when the camera pulls away and you see the birds flying by on the cliff, that's where the actual Nibelheim mountain part starts, where the original background for the Mount Nebel starts, where there's this snake path to the left and then to the right, and then to the left again, then across the bridge and then to the reactor. It's hard to describe without any images, but I hope those who have played the original can still remember it will know what I'm talking about. So yeah, I find this pretty interesting. Also, another reference to, or potential of reference to Traces of Two Pasts.
Yeah.
This bridge we do see is a normal one, a straight one, which looks to be a bridge above a river. And this river is actually mentioned there and is called, if I find it in the notes, the Gunsler River. It's where Tifa meets Sengen the first time, where she thinks, oh, this old guy is almost drowning in the river. And in fact, he's just he's just doing his exercises and concentration stuff, whatever. I hope it is this river because it would nicely,
that'd be cool.
Yeah, nicely fit those two stories together. And yeah, we already talked about camera and who you control, and the cloud climbs rocks. Also, I think this is cloud climbing rocks is just contextual actions like cloud jumping over the turnstiles in chapter 1 of Remake. Nothing fancy. You just don't see the indicators. Maybe the indicators aren't there anymore because there would be too many contextual actions, or maybe they just haven't inserted them yet, or just made them invisible. Who knows? But now there's this one thing that threw a certain part of the fan base also into a frenzy a little bit and theorizing. Because Cloud wears his one pauldron outfit the same as he did in Remake, like the same as it does in the story itself, not which he's quote unquote wearing back then in 5 years ago. My take, because I need to quickly talk about this, because I'm pretty sure those listening want me to talk about it. While some people theorize, oh, he wears this outfit, so it's not the flashback, it's actually much later, and there's a new story segment where he's walking around with Sephiroth, or it's an illusion, or whatever. No. First of all, it's a trailer which shows imagery from the very start of the game. So the Zack and Cloud pre-rendered scene is pretty much during the opening, I assume that this happens in the opening scene, and then the flashback starts, plus or minus, and the Cloud and Sephiroth walking towards Mount Nebel is probably the best segment to take out of the flashback. That is the least spoilery, but still shows us where we are without showing us all the details, and or showing us Nibelheim and all those other things. And it's just something they probably already had ready to show. And even if it doesn't look extremely finished yet, it's like foliage and rock is easy to just cobble together to make it seem good. So it's passable for a trailer. That's the basis for this. And then the outfit, that's a very easy explanation. Because Cloud, in reality, was there in his Shinra infantryman outfit. So whether he has one pauldron or two pauldrons, it's wrong anyway. And Cloud only wears those the two pauldron outfit after they escape from the tanks, 4 years after the Nibelheim incident. So when Cloud tells the others about the past, recounts all the events from back then, he is the narrator. He's the one who tells what happens. And if we, instead of just listening to Cloud, we can play through what Cloud tells us, it makes sense that we see Cloud as he is as the narrator. Yeah, I hope it's clear enough, because it's not easy to explain from my mind. But the principle is easy. So it's just the visualization of the one that narrates in there, no matter how he actually looked like back then. It's just how he looks like now, and he's the narrator, so he looks like then in his version of events.
Absolutely, it makes sense.
That's my theory. On the other hand, it's possible that they just inserted the current model of Cloud and will change it later.
Could be.
Who knows? But then people would say, "Oh, okay, but in his memory about his mother, he wears both pauldrons." Well, the thing is, this is an involuntary flashback. It's a dream of something that actually happens. But he still doesn't know about Zack, and it still represses the memory, the truth that he is just an infantryman. So to make sense of this, he he probably mixes both together, like how Zack looked like back then. He had both pauldrons, normal soldier uniform, and the Buzz's sword. And that's how he also looks like there. And then there's also the fact that he doesn't wear his braces and gloves and all those hand armor in the scene with his mother. But he does when he's reaching out to his burning home in Chapter 2. So there are so many inconsistencies that it's hard to actually pinpoint what is intentional, what may be just an oversight, what may be just an afterthought, and they just didn't really think of it that much. Because the thing is, we players and especially theorists usually try to read too much into every single detail, and when you then listen, exactly, same for me as well. And when you then read developer material and interviews and what have you, making offs, so many times they just think, "Oh, this looked cool," or "I wanted to express this," or "We just wanted to do this," and it's many times just a benign reason, and sometimes an actual mistake, like you mentioned earlier in this episode. The plate is wrong. It's Sector 6 plate above Sector 5 and stuff like that. There's so many other inconsistencies and actual errors that you cannot discount this also to be an error. Like the two pauldron version of Cloud when he's remembering the time with his mother. I think we need to wait until we see the full flashback, because he also meets his mother there again. And let's see what happens then, because if he keeps this one as a singular shoulder pauldrons with the screws in it all throughout the whole flashback, then we can probably say that it was an error back then in his dream in chapter 8.
Yeah, but I think it's super interesting if they did do it that way, because when Cloud is remembering himself, like that's what he would see. So we're seeing him from Cloud's perspective himself, how he sees himself. But then from the outside, when we actually see him, like he only has one. In reality, I don't know. I like that. I think if it's done intentionally, I think that's a cool way to kind of make everything like cohesive and make sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If not, then whatever.
Yeah. Well, I would also welcome them opting for an actual Zack outfit with 2 intact shoulder pauldrons during the whole Nibelheim incident. Would make sense. To also just make a distinction between Cloud now and Cloud back then, because there's 5 years in between. Stuff happens. So it makes sense that his pauldrons look different now.
Yeah.
And it would also make sense and call back to his 2 pauldrons in Zack's ending scene, and now also in this trailer in the opening scene. He also has those 2 shoulder pauldrons exactly like Zack, just less dilapidated or less cut open, basically. Less damaged. So I hope they change it, but if not, it doesn't really matter, because Cloud depicts himself as he wants, and it would make sense either way. So yeah, that's I think that's what I have about this scene. Then you mentioned the dialogue. We have more to say about the dialogue, and this is really interesting. We don't have too much dialogue, but there's enough to glean from it. Luckily, I've been provided with translations from the Japanese, the French, and Spanish, and even a German version. Well, German version I understand it myself, but some people on the CCO have cobbled together an Excel sheet with all the translations for me, which is pretty nice. And let's go through the English version, and then I think I'll just reference the Japanese version, because the others are sometimes a mix between English and Japanese, closer to Japanese, closer to the English one. It's a mix, really. So the first one is what Aerith says, and this is very different between English and Japanese. It's what we've done, that is set in stone, the past is forever. But the future, even if it has been written, can be changed. So focus on the future, not the past. And this is a direct reference to they changed the past now, but what did happen happened. They cannot undo it anymore. Like what happened in Remake happened, and this is fixed.
Exactly.
But this new journey can still be written, even if it has been written, which means the future existed before, and now we're retreading it, but without the restriction of fate keeping us on rails. That's what Aerith says, and it seems like she retained her memories of the future. That she knows what's up, what she's talking about, what's ahead and stuff. Now, in Japanese, it's different. She says, "Our grief and our anger, they make us stronger, but they change us too. If we keep our minds on the future and not the past." This harkens back to what Sephiroth says to Cloud and Barrett says to Tifa in Remake. So, well, while it's only true in English in Chapter 2, he says, "Hold on to that anger."
Right, yeah.
In Japanese, it says, "Don't forget about me." So we can maybe discount that. But then in Chapter 13, he says, "Suffering makes you stronger. Isn't that what you want, Cloud?" And this is basically this. It makes you stronger. It changes you when you suffer through this, if you have grief and anger. And Barrett also tells Tifa to hold on to that anger, to that hatred towards Shinra, to keep on fighting. But if you do that, it changes you. If you have a traumatic experience, but if you hold on to that anger, to the negative emotions, it changes you to something else. Maybe something you don't really want to. Who knows? Yeah, I found this a pretty interesting change. But the main sentiment is that what's past is past, cannot be changed. We need to focus on the future and try to make the best we can. This is basically what I get out of this.
Yeah.
And then comes something that we already know, which is very, very OG, very original, or from the original. It's Cloud who says he wants to finish what he started. He wants to reclaim his birthright, which is put in quotes, which is what Sephiroth told him in the past, and he remembered in Chapter 13, before future Sephiroth barged in and messed him up even more. And rule over the planet with Jenova at his side. This is what Sephiroth's plan was in the original game. And yeah, Japanese is pretty much the same, or just in spirit. Sephiroth has picked up where he left off that day. With Jenova at his side, he's continuing his plan to regain control of the planet and become its ruler. So yeah, it's basically the same. And this gives me hope for at least Rebirth playing out kind of like the original game. Just as we said before, expanded upon and changed circumstances. Maybe some events are quite different, but still lead to the same next event. Which is good. I love this. But now comes something that has also riled up some fans, or it got the weird theories cooking. Cloud says, I saw you lying there. I figured it was too late. Probably referring to Tifa getting cut down by Sephiroth in the past.
Yeah.
But Tifa says, wait, what are you implying? That I died? That I'm some kind of imposter? And in Japanese, she says, so what? You're suspicious of me? You think I was someone else back then? Or that it was someone else? Basically saying that she's not real, she's a different person, she's a clone or whatever the hell. I don't know. And what I love about this, I'm pretty sure this is a while they talk about the flashback, like in between scenes, that they talk a little bit in the inn, in their room, before Cloud jumps back into the playable segment. And I love this because it's not just Cloud talking about his past, what he remembers, and then Tifa just staying silent. It's actually Tifa being more proactive, as we've already seen in Remake. But it is doubly interesting because we need to believe Cloud. Cloud is the unreliable narrator, but we don't know that yet if we don't know what's coming, of course. Him saying this and then Tifa reacting like this, kind of from the player's perspective, makes us kind of believe that maybe she's in the wrong. Maybe there's something wrong with her memory, and Cloud is right. It's kind of an involuntary gaslighting towards Tifa, which is harsh, but makes sense and gives more tension. And I really hope they keep this up, that we don't really know, was Cloud telling the truth? Was Tifa telling the truth? Does Tifa even remember correctly? Because she also has holes in her memory, and she thought Cloud is not present there, and which completely throws her off and stuff like that. So it's really interesting.
Yeah.
Naturally, it could also be at a later point, maybe at the Whirlwind Maze during Sephiroth's illusion, but this fits too well into Cloud's retelling of the past.
Yeah.
Especially since we see this, see Sephiroth and Cloud walking towards Nibelheim Mountains while we hear about this dialogue. So linking it to the flashback. Especially since Cloud talks about reclaim his birthright and rule over the planet, also during the scene where we see them walking. So it still fits the context. And Aerith talking about what's done is done, and set in stone the past, we need to focus on the future. Seeing Zack and Cloud alive there is also very telling or fitting. So then when we switch back to a second Cloud, walking towards Midgar, Cloud says, "You were here with me 5 years ago. Where are you? What happened to you?" Many people guess correctly that he's talking about Zack, and the Japanese version is more explicit. 5 years ago, we came here together, didn't we? Zack, where are you? And to make sense of this, to not throw off just the story completely, I think this happens during Sephiroth's illusion part in the Whirlwind Maze, when he tries to screw with Cloud completely. And where he realizes, oh, that is Zack. Zack existed, and he was there with him 5 years ago. But where are you now? I could see that this being there because then Cloud's mind is already being screwed off, basically. So it doesn't really matter if he starts to remember Zack, if Zack is back in the picture, at least in memory. If it's anywhere before that, for example, when they visit Nibelheim for the first time in the present day, I don't think it would fit, and it would screw with the story too much, with Cloud too much. Maybe I'm wrong, but this is just the vibe I get. And the next is Aerith. I'm trying so hard to find you, which many people think, oh, she's also trying to find Zack. However, I got a different impression. I think it's the same thing she says on the gondola ride on their date, when she's trying to tell Cloud, I'm trying to find you, the real you, because she knows he's posing as somebody else. He's too much like Zack, and his true self is something else. And in Japanese, it's even more clear. She says the exact same line as in the original game there. I checked the Japanese script. It's exactly the same. I'm searching for you. And then, very interesting, Zack says a line at the end. Sorry, I feel like I failed you. Or in Japanese, I'm sorry I couldn't do anything to help. It's hard to say where this happens, because he probably doesn't say this to Cloud, because he didn't fail Cloud. He saved Cloud and did the best he could to save him, and Cloud still lives. So this doesn't really make any sense. But what if he talks to Aerith?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
What if he says that to Aerith after her death, and they reunite in the afterlife?
That's what I was thinking.
Ah, nice one.
Yeah.
Good thinking, yeah. Okay, so just a quick comments about the text that appears. What will become of the planet? What is Sephiroth's endgame? And what is fact and what is fiction? What will become of the planet is shown right after we see meteor crashing into the planet. It is all those scenes before the texts are taken from Remake. Those are all the newly created pre-rendered cutscenes we see on different places. So this, to me, foreshadows an actual meteor fall without help of Holy or especially Livestream. What will become of the planet? What happens to the planet when meteor actually hits it? That's the vibe I get. And what is Sephiroth's endgame? Well, yeah, that's what we want to know too, because as you and I said before, there's more to the end of remakes and rebirths and Resolve's story that meets the eye and doesn't just end like the original game ended. So he does have a new end game. I think I don't have the Japanese translation here right now, but I've heard it says, "Where is Sephiroth headed?" But since Japanese can be taken either way, it could be just, oh, where is he headed? Like, what is his plan? What is where does he want to go? Not just in terms of location, but also, yeah, what his end game is. Where does he want to arrive? What is his vision? So it's hard to say what they actually wanted to say. But in all other languages, it says basically the same. What is the goal of Sephiroth? What is Sephiroth planning? And what is Sephiroth's goal again? So endgame fits, I guess. Where is he headed? What is his ultimate goal? And what you see before is just a segment of the scene where Cloud has his headaches and memory glitches in front of Genova's tank. We see Sephiroth's eyes and Genova.
Yeah.
So Genova is basically a big part in his plan, which harkens back to what Cloud says just before. He wants to rule over the planet with Genova at his side, so it all fits. It's not some huge conspiracy and theory whack all over the place. It's, basically what's going to happen. But interesting is what is fact and what is fiction. My first idea was, okay, what is fact? This is what happens in the real world, the real continuity, the new one. What is fiction is basically Zack's reality, or where he is. This is fiction. It's not quite real. But on the other hand, what makes more sense is, I think, what the Japanese says, and also the German version, what is reality and what is illusion. And Genova is known to cause hallucinations and illusions.
That's true.
Especially when we we check what happens later, or what Cloud says right afterwards. So 5 years ago we were here together. Zack, where are you? If this happens during the illusion Sephiroth provides them, how do you know what is real, what is illusion? Also, how do you know what is actually real and what is just Cloud's wrong memory? Like, you don't really know what was real, what Cloud told the others, and what is illusion, what he thinks is real, what is actually real, all those things. And I think this is also a big theme in Rebirth, on different layers, in different situations. And I love this, because you can never be sure, is this real, is it not? And with Zack now, quote-unquote, alive, and all those shenanigans, you don't even really know what is real and what is not. There's so much screwing around that it's not even funny anymore. Yeah. So yeah, that's my take in the dialogue. Do you have anything to add, or any alternate interpretations?
I like the differences between the English and Japanese.
Yeah, me too.
Because I feel like in Japanese we're getting a little bit more information, and also it's a different kind of view. Like, it's not as left up for interpretation, maybe, or there's more weight behind the words, or more meaning behind the words in Japanese.
Yes.
But it could be that in Japanese, like, the words are different. Like, they are different innately, but just the meaning behind the words might be different. Because in English, it's the same. Sometimes we use certain words for certain situations that might not necessarily be a common word that somebody that doesn't speak that native language might use. You know what I mean? In those situations.
Yeah.
Because they don't understand that meaning, the difference. But I like the ending, what you said about the illusion, because Genova is known to create illusions.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So, I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows, indeed.
I just thought that potentially, then, do you think it's possible that she could create the illusion of the meteor falling to try to provoke Holy so that she can absorb the energy, but it's not actually happening?
It's hard.
I don't know.
Hard to see. Hard to say. Although, well, I don't think it's possible to deceive the planet, but to deceive people only. And Holy reacts to what actually happens to the planet. So I don't think this is possible.
But didn't it have something to do with Aerith in the live stream that summons Holy?
So Aerith travels to the Forgotten Capital to pray there and summon Holy using the Holy Materia, or this white Materia. And then Holy is summoned. However, Sephiroth, still sitting in the northern crater, or at least his essence is there, rebuilding his body, is keeping Holy there in place. As we see in before the final battle, you see this heart-shaped prison around Holy. That's keeping it in place. and Cloud even mentions it. Is that light holy? And after we beat Sephiroth and we fly away from the northern crater, the Highwind basically gets thrown out of the crater because holy is shooting out of it because it's now free because we defeated Sephiroth. And then it goes straight for Meteor to try and repel it. And then afterwards, it's Aerith again, probably with the help of the planet, or she just begs the planet to help. And then the planet responds in, okay, let's just bring all the life stream there to heal the wound. Basically, what happened when after Genova crashed into the planet also had to use a lot of life stream or life essence to heal the wound. That's one reason why the whole northern continent around the crater is basically all in ice and snow. Although Remake made this a little bit different when you read Shiva's description in Remake, then it says that she's responsible for the ice around a wound that the planet suffered long ago or something like that. So that's the context. So I think Aerith was responsible for summoning Holy and then helping to convince the planet to help Holy repelling Meteor. But everything else is just Holy being Holy or the planet doing whatever the planet does. On the other hand, I'm trying to think who or what Genova could influence or show an illusion to make something happen, but I just can't think of something right now. But it's definitely a very important part of the story and the lore or the mechanics that Genova is able to create illusions and mimic stuff and make other people believe that her body looks like something different or another body looks like something different, like Marco, number 49, looked like Genova Dreamweaver. And
yeah, that's what I was going to say. Maybe potentially Genova creates an illusion for Aerith, like when they get there and then Cloud ends up killing Aerith instead.
Yeah,
something like that.
Who knows? I think we already talked about those. What else is possible?
Yeah, we did.
Or that Cloud thinks it is Sephiroth, so and slices there, and then he thinks it turns out it is Tifa or it's Aerith, and then he totally breaks. But then it was still another illusion, and it's only just one of those black hooded guys. But Cloud is already out of it, and just stuff
true,
like that.
Yeah.
Things that could happen with all those illusions to break Cloud even more.
Yeah.
But Cloud actually being the one to deliver the blow to Aerith would be so crushing. Soul crushing indeed.
Yeah, but that's what this game is, remember?
Yeah.
It's the lowest of the low, right?
That is true. Yeah. Who knows? But on the other hand, people probably also want to see Sephiroth doing his thing again in HD. So.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. All right. Then I have a few more things to say about imagery. Although a few things I already said. I think White Burst, Livestream, White Feather. Though I think I already said all of this.
Yeah.
It's interesting that I keep talking about stuff that I plan to say later, and then I've already talked about this. But the logo is still missing.
Yeah.
So we can still talk about the logo. Just a quick thing because there's not much to glean, but it's interesting that they added the red glare and the Rebirth, and they like bathed the Rebirth in red, and also that the bottom of the meteor is also cast in red. It could mean many things, but at the end, I think it's very simple. It's just a foreboding imagery. It's red means bad, or even maybe a reference to meteor that's getting summoned, or the rebirth of something bad, like Sephiroth, rebirth of Sephiroth and Genova and what have you. Just a foreboding color. Something is not right. It's getting dark, so to speak. And the way Rebirth appears, it's this red glare all over the screen. And if you remember, Genoa's eye also has this red glare, not as intense in the original, but in Crisis Core it's much more pronounced. The one eye you can see during the Nibelheim incident, it is glowing red.
Yeah.
So and since Rebirth can also have a connection to Genoa, because the first Genoa encounter in the next game will be Genoa Birth. Then we have Genoa Life, there is death, and at the end Genoa Death. And Death and Red are also kind of connected, so
yeah. And it's blood, right?
Yes,
like red
that
is for
too.
blood as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Blood
Or
too.
stop, like
Yeah.
It's like a warning.
Yeah, warning, stop, final destination, what have you. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's not too much more than that. Although Luna is from our community also referred to or remembered or reminded us about all those logos they created before they settled for the actual Final Fantasy VII logo. There were so many, like dozens of logos they
Yes,
drawn
I
out to.
remember, yeah.
Yeah, I have a Twitter post somewhere in a timeline. And many of them were red, because Meteor is red too, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm glad they opted for this turquoise green color, because it's more like it's friendlier. It is more connected to the planet, the live stream. So it's I think it makes sense in this. It's a good choice.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. And then, speaking of the final game, which we currently are dubbing Resolve, I think it should be a bright light blue, like to actually shine something positive. Now, red is negative, but that the other one has to be positive to balance it out again. That's my current imagination for what part 3 or whatever it will end up be called will be presented as. At first I thought, oh, red starts now and the final logo is pure red, just only red, because everything goes to crap. Maybe not, who knows. But I think it's more impactful if it has a different color, not just more red. But who knows?
No, I totally agree. I'm not sure what color. I was thinking white.
Maybe, yeah, this could work too.
Like maybe the text is black, but it has a white glow around it. Like the black materia. I don't know. I'm trying to think of like holy and like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like the live stream as well. Maybe it'll be green-ish. Like I'm thinking of the live stream strands to that come at the end of the game to save the planet from Meteor, like that. But
the logo is already green. It's a dark green, like but it could be just a light green,
like metallic.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, light green or light blue, both could work, I think, or light turquoise or something like that.
Yeah.
In any case, it was a hype trailer. I loved it, even if it's barely anything. It was more than we were hoping for.
Absolutely.
And there's so much to glean from it, and I basically revealed my whole analysis. Well, not quite. There are probably still a few things to talk about.
Yeah.
But it's a lot to look forward to.
Absolutely.
When do you think will we see it again? Like the next trailer or next bigger information blowout?
That's a great question. I'm not sure. I don't think it's going to be anytime soon.
Yeah, same.
I think they're going to focus really on pushing Crisis Core Reunion at us and Ever Crisis.
Yes.
Obviously more for Soldier updates with more seasons.
Yeah. I have a feeling that, as we said before, at the end of Crisis Core Reunion, there needs to be some stinger, like Remake Integrate had, like not Integrate,
Yeah.
Intermission at the end.
Yeah.
Also had some. It was basically a trailer for Part 2.
It was.
And at the end of Reunion, we get a trailer for Part 2 again. More context,
Yeah.
maybe.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe like a longer
Yeah. Also a few minutes or something.
post-credit scene.
Yeah, I hope
with
so.
the same intro as Rebirth trailer, but longer with more information. But here's hoping. But to actually see a trailer, I don't think we're going to see it for a while. I don't think we'll see it probably until 6 months before release.
Yeah, I think so too, around the year.
Because they're going to focus on Final Fantasy 16, right?
Yeah.
And we just saw it now. We'll see that ramp up. They'll probably show that again 6 months from release, 16.
Yeah, for sure.
And then we'll see it probably shortly after, maybe a month after 16 releases, a month or two after. I'm not sure because they'll want to focus on 16 as much as possible. So I don't think we're going to see it for
pretty
quite
sure.
some time.
It also depends when exactly in summer it will release. I can see E3, which actually happens again in person and online next year.
Yeah.
That's they will start the not advertisement campaign. How is it called?
Yes.
The
the marketing.
Marketing, yeah, the marketing campaign.
Schedule or
yeah,
whatever.
exactly. We'll probably start around E3 for Rebirth, and maybe pick up or keep going on, and maybe show on every major conference. Gamescom, maybe Tokyo Game Show in September, something like that. And the last trailer or something in at the Game Awards in December, and then release in January, February, start of March, something like that. Yeah, that's kind of how I see it.
Yeah, we might see a tiny bit of it at E3.
Not too much, because
maybe like exactly, because that's gonna be 16.
Yes, exactly.
Main.
Yeah, final blowout probably.
Yeah.
Unless it releases right around there, then maybe they don't need to show it, because then there's just a launch trailer and then it releases and it's good. So they can already start with the marketing for Rebirth. Who knows?
Yeah, exactly.
But I'm pretty sure we don't need to expect anything this year.
Yeah. I'll be surprised if we get anything. If we get something, it won't be for like maybe 6 months or longer. But oh my gosh, I thought that actually when we got the trailer at the end, when it said like the release date, it wasn't a release date, but it was like a release time frame. I freaked out and I thought that actually we were getting Rebirth before 16.
Oh, right. Yeah. Next winter. Oh, yeah. Next winter is in this December. Well, not quite.
Well, it's this winter, but
exactly.
Like for me, winter just happened. So it's the summer almost now, like June 21st or whatever. So I was like, oh my God, like freaking out. Like, because I thought, the development cycle was so efficient that they didn't have to delay it, but they delayed 16 to give this space. So we were getting this sooner. And then I realized after that it was like, no, it's like 6 months after 16. But that is surprising to me because they want to give 16 as much space. But honestly, I don't think they care. I don't think that they're going to be competition for one another. Not with 6 months in between.
No,
I think 6 months is a good amount of time.
Yeah. As long as they don't release in the same month or something, they're good.
Yeah. It just depends on what else is slated for release at that time when they choose their actual release date, because they don't want to have competition from other games.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like God of War Ragnarok or some other like AAA big PS5 game that people really want. If it's around that time, then they're going to find it hard, I think, for people to spend their money on this.
Yeah. Oh, what I was also thinking about, if it releases a little bit earlier, if it releases actually in December 2023, then it would be a holiday sale for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be great. That would be great.
Yeah. Getting this Christmas gift for everybody.
Yeah. So do you think we're gonna get Red, 13, and Vincent in
All
this
of them.
game, and then Sid and Kate Sith in the last entry, or do you think
No,
that we're gonna get all of them
all of
in
them
this
here.
one?
Yes, yes.
Hmm.
Because we have 4 new characters in the first game, and we had already Yuffie in the DLC, so 5 technically, and then there's only 4 left, and 4 new characters in one game makes sense. So Red, then Kate Sith, then or Ketchy, then Vincent and Sid.
So all of them in Rebirth.
Yes, exactly. Especially because it goes up to, or at least I hope it goes up to the Whirlwind Maze, where Meteor gets summoned, and by then we have the whole party since quite a long time actually. Because if you think about it, Sid joins us last in Rocket Town, and after Rocket Town there is getting the Keystone, then Temple of the Ancients, then Bone Village, Forgotten Capital, where it happens, then the whole snow part, which is pretty long, and then the end game with all the shenanigans going on in the top north. So there's quite a lot of space and gameplay between Sid and the end of Rebirth. So I'm hyped.
Yeah. I hope we get all of them in this one.
Yeah.
I was reading, I think it was Final Fan TV, who said something, just like a schedule of release. So
yeah,
like potentially could have like a purchasable DLC, kind of like episode intermission, and then that's when you would get a new party member after Rebirth. So you wouldn't get them all in Rebirth. You would get maybe Red, Vincent, Kate Sith, and then Sid comes in the DLC for Rebirth or something like that.
Well, this would only make sense if they stop before Rocket Town. Because if we get to Rocket Town, which I'm 100% certain, then it doesn't make sense to preclude Sid. Sid must be in there, because otherwise it would deviate too much from the chain of events, and then we're in trouble.
Yeah.
Especially since the developers repeatedly said that they want to include everything. They don't want to exclude anything. They want to do the original game justice. And that's also why they create multiple full-sized games. Because otherwise, they had to streamline everything and cut out so many things. And so far, they delivered. So I don't have any doubt that they will take the original story, the original chain of events, characters, everything as is, just update everything, expand on everything, maybe change a few things around, especially go ham in the details and go crazy in everything else, which doesn't change the actual chain of events. That's my guess.
Well, I'm hoping.
Yeah. We're all hoping.
Cautiously optimistic.
Yes, definitely.
All right, guys, so that concludes today's episode. We hope that you enjoyed our thoughts and our impressions on the Final Fantasy VII 25th anniversary event. It was huge.
Yes.
My mind is just completely blown, and I'm just gonna, go back and rewatch everything probably another 50 times. And there'll be always something new that I'm gonna see and pick out that I want to talk to you about. But I'm sure going forward, we'll probably hopefully get more trickling of more information in the future that will, keep us busy, and we'll have more content in the future in regards to the future of Final Fantasy VII and Rebirth. So, but until then, I guess, thank you so much, Vyzz, for sitting down with me today to talk about this event.
My pleasure. It was fun.
All right, guys, so if you have any ideas for our up-and-coming episodes, you can write us. Our email is thereunionpodcast@gmail.com, thereunionpodcast@gmail.com. We do have a Discord server as well. You can check it out by clicking on the link that's listed in the description of each episode on YouTube. We do have a Twitter account. It's @reunion_podcast. Our Facebook is Reunion Podcast, and our YouTube channel is The Reunion Podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Also write us a review if you have the time. Honestly, it is the best way to support us here. Vyzz, did you want to go ahead and drop your socials for Cosmo Canyon Observatory?
Sure thing. So main platform is on YouTube, Cosmo Canyon Observatory. You can't miss it. We have a Twitter account that's at CC_observatory. Lately it's been a bit barren with new content because I've been busy, but usually just take a look out for the hashtag CCOGems and just browse through what all those, what I'm up to when I'm not producing a video, because some little things can just be neatly packed into one single tweet.
Absolutely.
And we also have a Discord, of course, and the link for Discord is in our Twitter bio and on YouTube itself and in every video we post, so we can't miss it.
Perfect. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for staying with us and listening to the end if you have, and if you haven't, then you're lost.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Until next time.
See ya.
Bye.